שלום לכולם, צהריים טובים, ברוכים הבאים. אנחנו מתחילים בעוד כמה דקות, אתם מוזמנים להצטרף אלינו כאן באולם. מתחרים, אנא הגיעו לצד הבמה, וכל מי שעדיין לא מחזיק בטאג מוזמן לקבל אותו בכניסה.
Prisionera del diablo, te quiero ver corriendo por el cerro bajando, germinando semillas, floreciendo esperanza en manos de la vida, no del que la amenaza, no del que la amenaza, no del que la amenaza.
שוב שלום לכולם, צהריים טובים, ברוכים הבאים. אנחנו נתחיל בעוד כמה דקות. אנא מכם הצטרפו אלינו כאן באולם. מי שעדיין לא לקח לעצמו את הטאג מוזמן לעשות את זה בכניסה. מתחרים, אנא גשו לצד הבמה. צהריים טובים לכולם, שלום, ברוכים הבאים. אנחנו נתחיל בעוד כמה דקות. אתם מוזמנים להיכנס לאולם ולתפוס מקומות. מי מכם שעדיין לא אסף או אספה לעצמו את תג השם, אתם מוזמנים לעשות את זה בכניסה. מתחרים, גשו לצד הבמה. שוב, צהריים טובים לכולם, ברוכים הבאים, תודה שהגעתם. אנחנו מתחילים ממש עכשיו. אתם יותר מוזמנים להיכנס ולהצטרף אלינו באולם. Presenting different elements of the innovation ecosystem that will share their personal stories, their perspectives on these topics, and how we can work together. We have a very busy schedule here for today, but first and foremost, Mr. Timothy Whedon, Director of Hardware Engineering for Health at OPPO. He's not feeling well to be here in person today, but he's joining us remotely, please.
For the OPPO Innovation Accelerator program. My name's Tim, and I'm a technical director at OPPO, focused in the health lab working on hardware. I've been in Israel now for about a week and a half, and I have to say I've really been enjoying my time, and it's really been important for me to be immersed in the culture here. You know, it's really been eye-opening to see how the young culture is so entrepreneurial, and they have so much energy. So I'm really not surprised to see so many amazing startups coming out of Israel, and I think we have a great show set up for us today. Now, I've also really enjoyed my time on a personal level. All three of my kids are actually named after different regions in Israel. And last weekend, I missed my oldest daughter's birthday as she turned 11. But I was able to go up to the Sea of Galilee in northern Israel and call her from her namesake. And it was a really special event for us, for me to call my daughter Galilee from the Sea of Galilee. And I have to say that neither I nor her were upset about me missing her birthday, as we'd really just enjoyed having the time to bond over her namesake there. And I hope that also I can bring all of my kids here to see their namesakes one day. Anyway, let's head inside. All right, let's bring this inside. So, as many of you are well aware, in the age of connectivity, the broad distribution and rapid sharing of science and scientific discoveries has really rapidly increased and allowed us to grow our knowledge of different fields at a much higher pace. And so, when we look back at science, it's not to say that we're doing things fundamentally different. It's just to say that we have new tools now, that we're able to share our knowledge globally and we're able to share it quickly. And this is very important for innovation. As we think about innovation being the combination of different ideas together in ways that haven't been integrated before. And that's really the importance of events like today, where we're taking people who have different backgrounds, different exposures, we bring them together, and we see what happens when we get new ideas from various sources and we combine them. And I believe this is how we really make great innovations, is through great people and the combination of great ideas. But what we'll notice, though, is that our knowledge of the body itself is still quite limited. The body is a multivariable system, and if we were to look at maybe only one or two health metrics, it's not really going to give us enough information to make solid conclusions, right? As you might look at one metric and you see it change, but it may have 3 or 4 different inputs that cause it to change. So it's really important for us to understand the intervariable nature of these systems in physiology. Now, I think it's also important to think about how these scientific discoveries that we have of late are kind of enabling people. They're giving us better lifestyle. People are thinking a lot more now about, living longer, reducing disease, having better quality of life. And, one way that this really hit me personally is with the birth of my youngest daughter. So Magdalene, she's 3 now, but before she was born, we went in for an ultrasound, and we learned that she had a right aortic arch, which caused a vascular ring. And what that means is that her esophagus and her windpipe were coming through this vascular ring, and it was going to decrease her quality of life. It was going to make it so as she gets older, she may have trouble swallowing food, she may have trouble breathing, it may limit her ability to participate in sports and things like that. And while this is not life-threatening, the quality of life that we're able to maintain now is so great, and it was such a pleasure. We felt so empowered, we felt so fortunate to have this opportunity that before she was even born, to have this information so that when she was born, we had a team of doctors there. They were able to be prepared in case there were any complications. We went and got a 12-lead ECG within the first 2 weeks and monitored her heart in many ways. We got a full MRI so we could see how tight is this vascular ring. Do we need to have open heart surgery as an infant? Can we wait till her next growth spurt? Or maybe we can conclude after her next growth spurt, around 10, 12 years old, that possibly maybe the ring is large enough that it's not going to be a big factor, and we can prevent open heart surgery by being able to peer in a little bit deeper. And there are kids right now that are only in their teens that 10 years ago, they weren't able to see this information. And so, this is kind of the first generation where they're having these discoveries. But even so, the doctors still knew very little about some of these conditions, about what caused them. They also had a lot of concerns of other correlated health effects that turned out not to be a problem. And they were really working off correlation alone. They didn't understand some of the root of this. So, as we move forward and we think about how we're using our consumer devices, how are we using the ability that we have and the knowledge that we have to really better the world, I think it's really important that we consider that we need to have clinically validated, actionable information to move forward. right? If we give people information that they can't act on, there's really no reason to give them that information. If we give them information that isn't valid, right, then that can be even worse. It could be harmful. And so as we go and we start to engage with the younger generation, one of the goals of digital health is to get continuous monitoring and allow preventative care and allow us to have actionable items to maintain a good and healthy lifestyle. Now, this can be a little bit challenging with some of the younger generation because if someone is young and they're healthy, they may not think that they really need to be monitoring their health. They may think, oh, these are things that my parents or my grandparents are doing, but is it really something that I need to do? And if they have a limited budget, they're going out to get the next hot tech hardware. They may not be kind of budgeting for extra consumer electronics to monitor their health. And so this is why OPPO has a great stance to integrate these things, right? If we can bring these into our products, if our phones, our watches, if the different devices that we have can be monitoring the health of the young and healthy while they're still young and healthy, and give them actionable items and easy to digest information, then it can be critical in really helping them to have this healthy lifestyle. So, right, if we spit out information, if we say, hey, here's your heart rate for the last year, here's your sleep for the last year, that may not be super helpful alone. But if we start to bring all of these things together, right, let's take our heart information, our sleep information, our diet information, let's start to combine them. Let's look at them through time. And let's start to inform our users, hey, here are your trends, here are your trajectories, here are actionable items you can do to make things better. We can send them alerts if things aren't going in the right way. Now, they didn't need to do anything, right? If there's no calibration, if there's no active measurement, if we're just out of the box collecting real, clinically validated, actionable information, then we're able to share this with our users before they think they need it. And this is really the key to preventative care, right? Is monitoring people that are healthy, monitoring people from the beginning, and letting them know their trends, letting them know the direction they need to go. Now, at OPPO, you can ask, what are we doing? What have we already done? Now, the health group is still a bit young. We've been here about 1.5 years, but OPPO's been in health since before that, right? OPPO's been working on things like PPG on the watch, and now we're bringing even more with the health group. So we have the health kit where we can start to engage with the clinicians, and we can start to bring our data all together. And this can be kind of the core, the center of digital health. But let's maybe start back a little bit. What if we start with the user? What if we start with the young, healthy people? What are we doing to engage them? Well, one thing that we've seen, especially during COVID, that became quite popular, is the younger generation was using their phone and engaging with their phone to follow, guided workouts and to really track their workouts on the phone. And so we thought, what better way than to engage where they already are? And that's why we've started to develop a new technology where we don't want to only provide workouts for our users, but we want to quantify their adherence to those workouts. Right? So I may give you a workout and you say, yes, I followed it. But, think about sometime when you've gone and you've done a workout with a friend, right? Maybe one of you pushed it a little bit harder, right? You went a little bit more complete with your repetitions. You snapped a little bit faster. What if we could quantify that? What if we could help you understand how well you're following these workouts and you could see the progression of your health? And I think this is important not only for health, but also for personal activity, as some people have certain goals for their athletics or for their lifestyle. And as we go from there, let's say that there is someone who has learned through preventative care that they have some problems. And so, they've been preventing, they've been doing their best, they've been active, but now they need to do more, they need to engage more. And so, OPPO really wants to start to go a bit further. And that's why we're working on multiple technologies in the area of blood pressure. We really want to allow you to follow your blood pressure more continuously, so you don't only have to have point measurements. We want you to be able to get your blood pressure on the go, so you don't need to carry a cuff wherever you're going. And so we have a number of programs in this area. Another thing that we think is very important is telemedicine, right? And so when we talk about our engagement with the clinical facilities, and we talk about our health kit where we can store this information, that's a great start. But how do we engage even more with the hospitals? How do we really start to blur the lines between just a consumer device and then moving towards a consumer device with clinically validated information, and moving even farther where we now can use our ability and our skill in manufacturing and mass production to really help and enable the hospitals themselves. And that's where we think OPPO has a unique stance with telemedicine and creating devices that can give you real, solid information that can be used by your doctors in real time. And I think that OPPO's participation in telemedicine and some of the new devices that we have coming will really be a game changer. Now, when we think about OPPO, our mission here is really to bridge the gap between science and engineering. We want to take these new scientific discoveries, and we don't want to have them just as knowledge, but we want to reduce them to practice. That's where teams like mine come in. I have a team in Palo Alto and Silicon Valley where, we have multiple PhD biomechanical engineers and biomedical engineers that are working in an advanced lab to really figure out how do we work on that technology transfer and taking scientific academic knowledge, reducing it to practice and putting it in our devices. And this is another place that I think we can have a unique stance, but we really need the help of everyone, right? As we talked about at the beginning, the importance of innovation and the importance in innovation in bringing together people who come from different backgrounds, different expertises, and we can really start to combine these and make even better discoveries, even bigger innovations. And so that's part of our motivation for the event here. We've started 2 initiatives this year. One is in the digital health, which we've talked quite a bit about already, and the other is in accessibility technology. And that one I haven't touched on quite as much. That's more specific to some of our devices, and that's so let's say that you want to get some of these continuous monitoring devices on grandma, on grandpa, but this technology is very new to them. It's very foreign to them. And when they look at their phone, maybe it's difficult to navigate, it's difficult to read. So how can we take existing technologies and really increase our inclusiveness? How can we go to multiple populations who have struggled with technology previously and really engage with them? And that's another very important thing here at OPPO. And so we really want to make sure that we're not only able to bring continuous monitoring, bring digital healthcare to the core and the root of health at OPPO, but also to make sure that that can be really distributed. And so obviously we're distributing hardware vastly across the world, but if users can't access it, it's not going to be helpful. And so accessibility and technology is just as important. So thank you for your time here, and I hope you enjoy the event today.
We would like to, yes, we would like to thank Tim for sharing the great initiatives OPPO and the Health Lab are leading. Life with a disability can put you in challenging situations. In the next talk, Pascal Berkovich, the Israeli Paralympic medalist, will share with us her inspiring life story and the secrets to go all the way to the top, even when it's hard.
Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Ni hao. Shalom. Always amazing things are happening to me. So today, my amazing thing is to be with you. It's an amazing day for us, right? We have this new company called OPPO. In Israel, we usually say, hoppa, 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 right? So now we are going to change it to OPPO, 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 no? Sounds good. I like it. So always amazing things are happening to me today. I am just coming after some months ago. I just participated in the Tokyo Paralympic Games, my 4th Paralympic Games in kayak. I represented Israel and I finished 10. I am the mother of Eden, she's 20, and the mother of Mika, she's 12. I'm a very happy person. And actually, yes, I forgot I have this. And actually, I forgot what I wanted to say. Yes. I'm very happy, yes. This is Yuval, he knows me very well, so I'm always very happy. So my life began in a very strange way because I was born in France. I grew up in France in a family that is first generation to Holocaust, and they ended up with a bad PTSD from that, you know. If we talk about disability, you cannot see. So then my parents, they were really disabled, but you couldn't see anything, you know. And as a kid, I just decided I'm going to be different. I'm going to be the master of my life. And I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be happy. This was really my decision. And this is the way I grew up in France and going to school. But just one day, you know, boom. I was on my way to school. 6 in the morning. 6 in the morning. All snow everywhere, dark everywhere. It was night, and it was a Friday, 13 December, in 1984. I was 17 years old. How old am I? No, I'm joking. I'm 54. I'm 54 years old, but then I was a small kid and I was on my way to school, and I just, instead of catching the train like I intended to, and like every morning, I just slept under a train and found myself, you know, just really all my body under the train, and I felt in my back the rail, frozen rail, just under my neck. And I couldn't think a lot, but I just decided I'm going to switch. You know, it was like very, very quick decision. I switched and I put my legs instead of my head, and then the wheel of the train just came and cut off both of my legs. So I know it sounds very harsh and tough and hurting. I want to tell you it's a very strange feeling, but it's not hurting. Don't try at home, obviously, but it's not hurting. It's just very awkward feeling of like an electrocution of the body. And I remember the black bottom of the train going up above my head, and this is what I remember the most. This, you know, black above my head. And then the train left, you know. The train has no feelings. And I was there, lying on the rails. It was dark, night. I want to take you with me for a second, just try to figure out how it felt. You know, I was in between the two rails, in the snow, in the dark, alone. Alone. Real alone. I tried to shout, and it didn't help at all, and it was really, you know, the longest 47 minutes of my life, like eternity. Staying there, alone. And there, because it was so long, this is Einstein, he said, eternity is very special because it's really long. So it was that. And I took the decision, again, that I'm going to be the master of my life, I'm going to be grateful for what I have, and I'm going to be happy. Not a victim. Not a victim. Never a victim. And I decided I'm going to fulfill all my dreams. Actually, I remember that very well. I was there, and I said to myself, if I survive that, big time. I'm going to do everything I ever want. I'm going to do everything my way. And actually, I had this vision of me, no legs, like that exactly, sitting on a little, you know, wall, and that I filmed in Jerusalem, but, you know, there I couldn't dream about Jerusalem even, but actually my first real dream was to come to Israel. As a young kid, this was really my big dream. I wanted to come to Israel and be useful here. You know, because my family was such a mess after the Holocaust, and I had this puzzle of non-finished and not told stories in my family. I really wanted to put all of it together. And I understood Israel is going to be my answer for that. But now I'm sitting in a wheelchair, and you know, there is no Google, there is no technology, there is no even you know, call abroad, it was a big mess. 1 week it was taking to get something, you know, the opportunity to call to somewhere. It's a different world today. You know, it looks to me, it feels to me so easy now. But I succeeded to come to Israel. Actually, I came to Israel. I flew to Israel. I landed here for the first time. I had a little suitcase, a very big, you know, old-fashioned wheelchair, and I knew only French. It is very French to know only French, but it was my case, and I just came like that. I had $100 in my pocket, and this was all. You know, this is the way I began my new life. This is the way I began my new dream. It was so tough. It was really, really tough. I became the first volunteer soldier in the army in wheelchair, and I'm very, very proud of that. And yeah, thank you. A lot of people helped me for that, and actually, it was something very special for me because it was really my dream. And then being in the army, I began to swim because, you know, in Israel, the first sport that was offered to disabled kids once was swimming. So they told me, you know, here, disabled people are swimming. Like, you know, like, you should swim, you have to swim. They didn't ask me so much, so I found myself in the swimming pool, swimming good, swimming better, swimming faster, and when I began really to be good at swimming, I joined the national team in swimming in Israel. The Paralympic swimming team in Israel is one of the best in the world. I'm very proud to be part of this amazing adventure too. And I found my new dream, you know, I wanted to be a Paralympian. What is more amazing? You know, you want to pick a dream? Pick this one. I want to be a Paralympian. I want to represent Israel at the Paralympic Games. This is what I'm going to do. And I was training 2-3 times a day. I was, you know, giving everything for that. And I was good. I was okay. I was really good. I had my chance. But, you know, I was alone here. No support, nothing. And I had to quit. I put this dream of mine, being a Paralympian, I put this dream of mine in a corner of my heart, and I went for my next dream. Actually, my next dream was to be a journalist. But back then, it was almost 40 years ago, I was told I cannot be a journalist. It's impossible to be a journalist. I asked why. They said to me, there is no journalist with a disability. There is no journalist sitting in a wheelchair. Look around you. So I looked, you know, it was a door. You know those offices with doors, and you can see your reflection in the door. So I looked at myself in the reflection of the door, and I said to them, look, there was a journalist in wheelchair, and they were looking. I said, you see, it's me. I'm the first one. Welcome. And that's it. That's how I became a journalist. I was specialist for foreign news, mainly in Arabic countries. I worked for the Deutsche Welle in Germany. I worked for the CBS in America. I worked in France, everywhere. I had an amazing career as a journalist, actually. And it was really amazing, and also began to give motivational speeches on stage. And I also wrote a book that was sold 750,000 copies in the world. Actually, my book, you can find it in Chinese too. Yeah, The Smile of the Dolphin, it calls, yes, and you can find it in Chinese. I'm very happy with that. I don't understand exactly what's written. I hope it's exactly what I wrote, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'm a happy person, and being 33 years old, I just decided, it's not like I decided, I felt that I have no choice. Something is coming in my body. I want to be a mother. It was amazing. I want to be a mother. And people also told me, you're sure you want to be a mother? You know, it's complicated. You're sitting in a wheelchair. How are you doing that? What? Sorry? This time I really was laughing because I knew so many friends of mine sitting in a wheelchair, girls, swimmers, and they were already mothers. So for this time, I was sure I'm not the first. And I'm going to do it. And this is how Eden was born. Actually, look at it very well. She's my first gold medal. I am 33. She's just born. Now she's 20. Time is running fast. I was the happiest person on earth. I You know, you just gave me this feeling that I'm okay. I'm just, you know, I'm just part of this world. I'm just living like everybody. I'm living so much as everybody that I get divorced, like everybody. No, you know, I mean, to be like everybody means a lot of stuff, not always, you know, shiny, pinky stuff, you know. So, yes, so I get divorced and I continued my life, but actually, my life is always very, how can I say that? Maybe in sign language you can help me. You have something, you know, special to say like, amazing! I'm 40 years old. I get a phone call. Someone is asking me if I want to try a new sport. I want always to try a new sport. You're kidding, of course. That's how I became a rower. Rowing, this is this sport, you see? Two, you know, paddles, and you paddle backwards. And why are we paddling backwards in rowing? It's very easy. It's an English sport. Yes, exactly. And it is, no, it's not mine. It was, you know, for the start line. Merp, 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 ready? Yeah. So I said to myself, if I'm beginning to row and I'm enjoying it, maybe I had this dream, you remember, when I was 20 years old, I wanted to be a Paralympian. Now I'm 40, maybe this is time. I'm going to begin an Olympic career. Everybody thought I'm nuts. Nobody wanted to help me. The establishment, the, you know, Olympic committee, blah, blah, blah. Nobody wanted to help me. They all thought I'm crazy. Beginning an Olympic career age 40, you know? Kidding. I said, I don't care. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. I will enjoy the way. And I tried. I tried so hard. This is how I went to China. This is how I get to Beijing, 2008. My first Paralympic Games. I finished in the final. I finished 8th. It was an amazing experience for me. Very tough one because, you know, it's not easy to be a Paralympian. It's not easy to, you know, to be on the start alone and you have to give all you have and you have only, you know, this one shot. But I was really, really happy with that. And you know, see, this is Beijing, 2008. Very good memories for me. And actually, I came back from the games, and this is what Olympic athletes, women Olympic athletes are doing. They are waiting for the Olympics to come, and then they are doing a baby, and then they still have 3 years to train for the Olympic Games. So we are always, after the Olympic Games, rushing to do babies, all of us. It's very funny. And this is how Mika was born. And she's my second gold medal. Amazing one too, and actually I decided I want to go for my second Olympic Games. And they didn't want to help me with rowing, you know, the establishment and stuff, so I decided I'm going to switch to another sport. And I picked the hand biking. So this is hand biking, you see. It's an amazing sport, very tough, but as you see, I made it to London 2012, being the mother of 2 girls after breastfeeding for 1 year, and coming back to training. And you see, when you really, really want something, usually it happens. Just try it. Afterwards, I had this amazing event in my life. If you're not Israeli, maybe you won't understand what it is, but this is the most honorful, or one of the most honorful ceremonies in Israel. Independence Day main ceremony, and actually I was invited to enlight the torch, and from this moment, this is an amazing moment because then the establishment began to love me. And I became to have more, you know, help with my career and my, you know, sport, and it was really a happy day for me, very, very emotional. And I decided, of course, to continue my Olympic career, but I couldn't do it in hand biking because it was too expensive to me. Yeah, expensive, because, you know, biking is really expensive, mainly when it's hand biking, and you have to change the wheels and all the gears all the time, you know. So I decided to switch to a cheap sport, kayaking. Kayaking, you see, this is my kayak. It's not so cheap, but you have one kayak, that's it. You don't need to change anything, I don't know what. You know, so those are my friends from, my sponsor from Nelo, from my kayak, and I decided I'm going to kayak, and actually this is how I became the first athlete in the world that switched 3 times, that participated in 3 Olympic Games in 3 different sports, which is great, right? This is amazing, yeah. And in Rio, I really enjoyed it because, you know, 3rd Olympic Games, you already know what's happening to you. You already master the stuff, and I really loved it. I ate. Okay, a lot of ananas, and it was really a cool moment. So cool that I decided that I want to continue, and this is how I continue in kayak actually, because I love the sport, and this is how I get to my next qualification for Olympic Games in Tokyo 2021. It should have been Tokyo 2020, but you know, we had this crazy stuff called Corona. Yes. So this is how I made it to Tokyo. I finished a 10 in Tokyo, and it was amazing, you know, amazing race. You can see me with my friends there, very tired, all of us. It's very funny because we are training twice a day, all of us, okay? We are training twice a day, and it's only for less than 1 minute race, 200 meters, sprint. And it's not crazy? It's a bit crazy, yeah. But as I told you, I decided to be the master of my life and to be grateful for what I have and to be happy. And what can I say? It works. It works. No bad. So this is how I'm going to, you know, races all the time. Actually, now I am going to leave very quickly the stage, and I won't be able to talk with anybody of you because I have a taxi waiting for me, because I'm going to take a plane now to Italy. I have there a very big international race I have to participate in. So this is how I continue, and I really hope I'm going to make it to Paris 2024. I'm already the oldest kayaker at the Olympic and Paralympic level in the world. So, but you know, the other ones, they are getting older too. So I decided to continue because it's too much fun. This is my family almost today. Eden, Mika, Oz, and actually those are my real medals, because people always think we are, you know, working so hard to get medals, but actually the main thing we are searching for is getting better. Not getting a medal, getting better, but getting better every day. Every day, getting better a little bit, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. And this is, you know, very tough work. So this is why I said, hoppa, hoppa, hoppa. This is what we do, no? Yes. And so now I'm continuing to Paris 2024, and I really hope life will continue and give me all those amazing gifts. And I really thank you for being here with me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's quite hard to be on the stage right after you. I'll try. So thank you, Pascal, again. Now, it is time to start the pitching competition. I can see some people shaking here. First, our judges today: Wilfried Kainz, Head of Research at Zero Project, joining us from Austria. Zero Project is a global initiative to find and share solutions that improve the daily lives and legal rights of people with disabilities. Yeah. Yuval Wagner, President and Founder at Access Israel, Negishut Israel. Access Israel is the first non-profit organization in Israel whose main mission is to promote accessibility and inclusion to improve the quality of life of people with disabilities and the elderly. Yes, again, a round of applause, yeah. Yoram Yacobi, Chairman of the Board, Apple Seeds. Apple Seeds is an Israeli nonprofit that was founded in 2000 with the aim of bridging Israel's growing startup nation to undeserved communities in Israel's social and geographic periphery. Last but not least, yeah, again, a round of applause, yeah. They all deserve it, I can assure you. Last but not least, joining us again, Tim Whedon, Director of Hardware Engineering for Health at OPPO, joining us again remotely. Yeah. I think we can jump right in. I would like to welcome iFocus from afar to the first pitch.
Hi, I'm Aditi Nair. I'm the CEO and co-founder of iFocus Health. I'm a physicist, experienced in product development in biotech and medical devices. I never planned to become an entrepreneur. However, I hit a problem, and together with Einat Sitbon, my co-founder, I came up with a solution. And now, we simply have to make it a reality. The problem is getting quality care for ADHD. A few years ago, when my son was diagnosed with ADHD, I found that there are over 30 different types of prescription medication and numerous non-pharmaceutical solutions. But the only way to know which one works is to ask, how was your concentration today? As a result, 60% of the kids drop treatment within 2 years. We are far from being alone. ADHD affects 10% of the global population. In the US alone, there are currently over 5 million children diagnosed with ADHD, driving around 40 billion in annual costs. Only minimal treatment is covered. The leading clinics are out of network, so that the cost falls directly on families. Yet, we're still in the dark figuring out the best treatment. This is why we created iFocus Health, a patent-pending technology to monitor ADHD treatment using the eyes. It's simple to use and runs in the background on your child's computer. No additional equipment required. We create data to enable data-driven treatment decisions and give the parents and clinicians the peace of mind the kids getting the best treatment possible. Why eye tracking? Have a look at this video. This is an example of how a high schooler with ADHD reads without their medication. The red dot is their eyes, or what they're looking at. See how hard they're working, leaping around, reading and rereading. This is what it means to just try harder. This is the same person with the medication. It's a striking difference. Experts that we show this to are not surprised by these patterns, yet this is the first time they could actually visualize them. When the patient subscribes to iFocus Health, they will receive access to our app, which will remind them to take their medication and collect side effects and other patient observations. They will also install our plugin in their web browser. The plugin will run in the background and collect eye tracking information while they are doing their daily reading tasks. We have launched our research MVP and already have over 200 tests from people around the world. We have shown that eye tracking from standard webcams is sufficient to measure concentration differences. We have received enthusiastic support from leading clinicians and researchers. These are just a few quotes we have been getting from experts. One of my favorites is, "This is the best innovation I've seen in my career." ADHD is a huge market. The cost of illness is over $120 billion. However, this is not the cost of treating ADHD. It's actually the cost of not treating ADHD well enough. Comorbidities and other issues. We believe that using iFocus will improve the care for ADHD and reduce this cost by at least 50%. We're using a two-tiered subscription model. Initially, until you find the treatment you need, about 3 months, it's a $200 per month cost, which is less than a single office visit. After that, you have a maintenance tier that will be $20 per month. This will also be the platform for additional services we'll provide down the road. Who will pay? Parents will pay in order to know their kids are getting the best treatment possible. Providers will pay down the road to reduce costs and actually take care of more patients for less cost. Additional revenue directions can be pharmaceutical companies and more. This is our amazing team. Einat, my co-founder, is an expert in data science and machine learning. Ravid brings expertise in product development in digital health, and Geeta helps us with our regulatory strategy. We have an amazing team of advisors, experts, clinicians, researchers, business experts, and technical experts. As a parent, I wanted to do everything I could to help my son. If I had a solution like iFocus Health, I would have had a clearer picture into the progress he's making and how I could help even more. This is my hope for the tens of millions of parents and children out there. Clarity, progress, and peace of mind that we are doing the best to help our child focus with iFocus. Thank you.
Judges, any questions? Yeah? No? Let's continue. The second pitch will be of Fancese.
Okay. Clicker works. Use this. Other way around. מה אני מוליך את זה? שנייה. ומה, איך להתקדם? רבע. Okay, great. Off to a good start. Okay, my name's Ari Frank. I'm the CEO of... אני אעמוד פה, זה בסדר. CEO of Fancese, and we want you to get wells. Okay? There's been a tremendous growth in telemedicine and telehealth in recent years, especially after COVID-19. There's a growing need to collect physiological data. Okay? To collect physiological data for people to be able to take charge of their health. We believe wearables are the natural candidate for this, but most wearables are either too uncomfortable or don't provide enough signals. So allow me to introduce Wells, our wellness smart glasses. These are smart glasses packed with sensors that are designed to measure the user. We have PPG sensors to measure heart rate and blood oxygen levels. We have microphones to pick up respiration sounds and coughing, temperature sensors to measure the user's temperature, and also movement sensors to capture movements. And then we can use this to first report this data and also derive a bunch of wellness parameters such as stress level, aerobic activity, overall wellness. And then these signals can be used for to detect many medical conditions. There's many applications. So this is a list of many conditions we discovered where we know that the type of signals we can measure can be used to detect these conditions. Being an innovation-based company, we actually have 41 granted US patents on various applications of using head-mounted sensors for these types of detections. And then the data from the glasses is sent to an app that processes the information and presents it. So right now we're presenting the live stream of physiological parameters. And then we can also show the wellness parameters. And later on, we'll also allow you to set up, to review historical data, to find trends, and set up alerts and messages based on the data. And down the road, maybe advance telehealth applications like discussing your data with physicians. Our goal here is we believe there's a tremendous potential for this technology. And many applications, just for example, there's many medical conditions that can be addressed with this technology. And each one of them would require clinical trials, and it's a process of regulation. So we don't believe that we want to capture it all ourselves. Rather, we do like to foster and build an ecosystem where different parties can sort of cooperate using our technology. So the idea is to release, along with the glasses, an SDK to allow people to build their own applications using the stream of our data, and also to license this technology to smart glasses manufacturers who can then incorporate this health and wellness technology in their smart glasses. And then that would enable a consumer to choose from many applications and run them on smart glasses that best fit their face, fit their style, fit their budget. And further down the line, we could become an OEM of a chip that actually governs the collection of this data in a secure manner and allows and the processing and processes it and uses algorithmic libraries to get the wellness parameters. So we believe there's a lot of potential, a lot of this technology can help a lot of people. First and foremost, almost for anybody, it empowers them, gives them information about their true state, and then also allows early detection of many medical conditions. And early detection is often the key to reducing suffering, reduces the cost of treatment, and in many cases also improves the patient outcome. Also there's the whole, there's an aspect of bringing new types of treatments that are currently not maybe accessible to people because of their cost or scarcity to the digital and the virtual environment. So we're talking about things like biofeedback and neurofeedback and psychological treatments that can benefit a lot from collecting continuous data about physiological signals and mood. And then, so, almost. So finally, just sort of a comment about where we stand technologically besides the points on the slide. I believe we're in a very good place. So we're sort of in the conjunction of two very recent growing trends. One is telehealth and telemedicine, and the other is augmented reality and smart glasses, which look like to be the next computational platform for consumers. And then so we're in the middle, where we believe that Facense's technology can be the killer app for extended reality devices. So let's get wells together.
How long do you exist?
So we're sort of we're more R&D based or innovation based. So we've existed since 2015 or something like that, and primarily first we were more focused on patents, and then a couple years ago we sort of switched the gear and said, we don't see this innovation coming. Get off your ass and do it yourself. So basically, this is what we're doing right now is building it.
And what do you build? Do you build the glasses or the sensors or everything?
No, the glasses. The sensors these are basically off-the-shelf components. So we're building the glasses and even more so the algorithms. So there's heavy deep learning going behind this to interpret these signals, and then what we really want to do is build the ecosystem, because there's a lot you can learn from there's all these verticals, and each person they don't need to go and start everything anew. How do we derive heart rate and respiration and build models for different people with different conditions, laying down, standing. So we want all that knowledge and to be able to share with people who license this technology.
And how far are you from being able to sell the glasses?
So this is an advanced prototype, so I think all the sensors are working right now. I'd say in a few months we'd have the algorithms pretty well, so it's really ongoing right now. I just received it Thursday. We had to sort of rush things because of this event, and actually our plan is to go and take it to crowdfunding. We believe that this is, everybody's talking augmented reality glasses. They're all focused on the display, and you have people like Tim Cook's talking about how Apple's greatest contribution is going to be health, and this is actually health on the next platform. So we believe that this will. There'll be a lot of interest in it. So the worst success is like the Pebble watch, if you remember. When you come with something new and interesting, then crowdfunding could be, for a small company like us, could be an interesting option. So a few months down the line, we might be able to even feel confident to go ahead and launch that.
Maybe last question: what holds you up right now from selling and running?
So yeah, again, I can give you the backstory. So being innovation focused, we're a very small bootstrap operation so far. So our main concern was our barrier, I guess, towards getting funding was actually showing that we have something. Now that we have it, it will be funding. I really, it's basically. It's Talu's here with me, and I are the two ones who are actually running the company right now because we existed for so much time. But now that we have a working proof of concept, it will be funding, build a team, and get out there and reach out. Because basically, this is the type of I want to talk to manufacturers like OPPO. I want to get this out because it's really so many applications, and also glasses are different from a watch in the sense that the glasses that look good on me won't look good on you. You know, each one has their own style. So as many glasses out there as possible, and get this out and get people build tremendous. You know, there's so many applications. That's our goal, really.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we have another questions remotely.
Sure.
You were asked why glasses, but I think you just answered it.
Yeah.
And are you working on validation studies to get FDA approval to inform people about these conditions?
That's the plan. You can imagine, since we're sort of low staff, that's the next stage. So right now we finally have glasses. The next stage will be to put it on people for validation studies. Yeah. But there's so many applications there that's why I'm saying we figured out early on that we need to reach out, because let's say we focus on one side, that will be our focus so if we do, okay, let's help early tracking COPD. Okay, what about congestive heart failure? What about
everything?
Detecting a stroke? So
Yeah.
you can do everything with everything, but you can do many things with the glasses, and we don't want to focus on one segment. We want to enable others to focus.
Ari, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank Fancese. You can move it here. Our next pitch, SocialMind.
Okay. Your microphone. Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Parat from SocialMind. SocialMind is a SocialMind is a healthcare startup, in particular autism care. Autism is a common developmental problem. Current estimates are about 2% of children. There are effective treatments that can transform these children's lives, but they are not available to the public. The people who meet these children in the healthcare systems are unprofessional therapists called technicians. Technicians and parents get trained by ineffective systems, and this is where SocialMind comes in. SocialMind uses AI and technology to transform autism care, to eliminate waiting lists, and to reach children at scale. The American expense on autism care is $460 billion per year. Of that, $26 billion is available for early age intervention, but less than a third of this budget is utilized. The reason is lack of trained workforce. Technician turnover is very, very large. It is about 75% per year. And the underlying reason is insufficient supervision. SocialMind can utilize this budget by offering effective training and supervision of technicians and reach children with the best scientifically proven treatment. I will briefly introduce the team. Dr. Karen Sagiv-Friedgut is the founder and CEO. She's a pediatrician since 20 years and a mother of 2 autistic children. She has changed the direction of her medical career following the diagnosis of her elder daughter 13 years ago. Gabi Levy-Pinson is a psychologist certified in a number of autism therapies. She has been working with Dr. Sagiv-Friedgut for 8 years, first in a telehealth center they started, and then in establishing SocialMind to make treatment available at scale. Izhar Lotem is our chief software developer. He has worked in 3 unicorns and switched to SocialMind following his own experience with his autistic child. I am the CTO with a Stanford PhD in electrical engineering and a lot of experience in technology and AI. Next, we're going to watch a short video explaining how the method works. Sorry. Sorry. Coming right up. help me here. לא, זה לינק. תיקנת את זה, עבד לי.
הוא הגיע אלינו כמעט על מצב של מיוט.
Barely communicating.
Crying about everything but because we don't understand her.
SocialMind is changing this reality.
There's a whole method, but it's really simple.
Looking the parent in the eye and telling them, look, this is what you need to do. Go do it.
We are importing the best evidence-based strategies into the parents' hands. For example, most children with autism struggle with eye contact. Studies from UCLA showed that the ability to shift the gaze from the desired object to the person holding it is a crucial skill that enables breakthroughs in development. Here is where we step in and turn it into a simple learning process.
Yes, balloon!
In our own private home, by myself, in our home, in a natural environment.
Parents film themselves interacting with their children and upload the video to our platform. Our Mindbackers, a community of students and parents trained by SocialMind, analyze the video. Artificial intelligence assists the precision of the analysis and enables scaling. Back to the parents. They receive task-specific feedback on their phone, embedded in their video.
Very accurate feedback on the videos, to the exact moments when you either do something right or maybe you could do something better.
Pancake! Here, you kept the pancake in your possession. And of course, Layla is extremely motivated to eat it.
Do it on a day-to-day basis. The parents are the one, steering the ship. She knows how to tell me when something hurts. Being able to give her the ability to feel understood.
היום זה די מרגש לראות את אלון. קורא לך לבוא, לחבק, לנשק.
הוא קורא לי אמא, הוא קורא לתומר אבא.
More and more children will realize that communication is useful. It is fun.
Okay, hang on. All right. SocialMind is unique in the personalized feedback it gives its users. We offer the highest quality of treatment for an affordable price. Our business plan starts with selling subscriptions to parents, some of the parents you saw here. The second stage is selling directly to autism centers and also through them to parents on their waiting lists. We are already in negotiation with a number of centers in the US and are about to enter contracts with the Sheba Medical Center in Israel and with a few special education daycares, also in Israel. Help us make quality of care scalable. Thank you.
Any questions here? Thank you. Thank you, SocialMind. Now, arrows, please come here.
First of all, I want to thank OPPO for the opportunity to present here, arrows. My name is Eran, and I want to tell you about my teenage daughter. She's intelligent, with a great sense of humor, and has autism. For her, making a spontaneous conversation with a stranger, or even going by herself to the store to ask for a certain product, is almost beyond reach. It is not a matter of language, but rather processing situations differently, emotionally and socially. When she was a child, she had an integrator or a personal assistant that helped her. But as she grew older, it became irrelevant, but the problems were still there. According to the CDC latest report, she's one of 44 diagnosed with autism. The loneliness, the frustration, and depression are hard enough. But how about this remarkable figure? $60,000 is the yearly added cost for a family with an autism member. And there are more than 7 million families like that in the US alone. Mostly goes on loss of parental income, on therapies, and special education, including that personal assistant. That's why Eros was created, to become this virtual personal assistant. It is a SaaS solution based on a smart wearable device that understands the difficulties and provides social integration and emotional awareness in real time. It works by projecting visual feedbacks and recommendations according to social cues. And in this video, I can show you. Where's my assistant? Where's my personal assistant? So this short video demonstrates how the system works. When the system detects that the user needs to increase the voice, it projects this animated icon, and by doing so, receiving the star as a positive feedback. We can take another use case of turn-taking within conversation. If we take the example of my daughter in the store, it will be a perfect time situation to project such an icon. We've had 50 people, 50 individuals tested and proved our proof of concept and led us to continue the R&D. Yaron, 16 years old, said that he always gets anxiety in social events, but found the device helping and lifted his self-efficacy. Sarah said that she hates being told what to do, but loved the silent reminder as a feedback. And on a post-experiment survey, we found over 80% acceptance of usage of this software. We are entering an exciting era, an intention to harness the technology and the opportunity to work with OPPO to fulfill our goals. Our IP will be composed of an AI integration of speech, NLP, and video processing, implemented on augmented reality glasses that are supposed to become the next generation common device as much as smartphones are today. And our deep understanding of autism and other communication disorders just finalized the circle to introduce that solution. Now, how it works is that the wearables output are processed in our cutting-edge technology that produces intelligent signals. Signals like translating facial expression into emotion or detecting the meaning of the context in a sentence, in the conversation. And they are fed into our AI proprietary model, socio-emotional brain that understands the big picture and then sends back to the user the recommendations of how to react. This solution is going to become a game changer. Through the understanding of the unique brain processing, Eros will become the young adult's assistant. It will give support in real time, both emotionally and socially, and eventually will better their well-being, save costs, and lift the self-efficacy. That's what we want. Our roadmap, in brief, is made of 3 major product milestones. We currently have a human-operated prototype and to use in a controlled environment. We're working on a second to be used outdoor for real-life scenarios. Next phase will be a semi-hybrid solution, and hoping by the end of 2024 to have a fully AI device. I'm the founder. I'm an entrepreneur, a designer with experience in marketing and UX. Our CTO is an AI expert, and Dr. Idan is a clinical psychologist with expertise in young adults with ASD. We are supported by market leaders like Shiba, but the X factor of the team is that most have an autism member in the family.
Used in the current healthcare system. What does this mean? So, I think the slide of Roche shows it very beautifully. A patient with a chronic disease is sick 365 days a year. He goes twice a year to the doctor, which is symbolized by the blue dots. The rest of the year, he is by himself, sometimes suffering more, sometimes suffering less, and he for sure doesn't remember all the relevant facts from the doctor visit. This causes frustrations like high costs, insufficient outcomes, stressed doctors, and not well-managed patients. Why? Lack of digitalization in healthcare despite fantastic new opportunities. I'm talking about the smartphone revolution, where OPPO is an important part of. Today, almost 84% of patients, people worldwide have a smartphone. So let's do something simple. Let's use patients' smartphones to disrupt the current healthcare delivery. We developed an easy 3-step solution: connect, understand, and impact. We connect the doctors and patients while using their smartphones, enabling a video and chat communication platform, and also gathering subjective and objective data of the patients. Then we support the doctors to understand the data using our proprietary AI engine. And we make an impact with our digital therapeutics, abbreviated DTX, or also called apps on prescription, on patient outcomes and behavior change. Everything scientifically validated. And now the best thing. There is a game changer right now happening all over Europe and soon in other parts of the world. There are new legislations enforcing mandatory reimbursement by health insurers for DTX. Our first target market is Germany. Our key to market access is the exclusive partnership with the German Organization of Specialized Doctors, with 160,000 doctors members in this organization. Our first DTX product is DIGA. DIGA is a CE-certified app, a 3-month program for patients with chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, or obesity. The goal is to improve doctors' visits preparations and to strengthen patient engagement and autonomy. Within these 3 months, patients receive all kinds of chatbots, medical questionnaires, validated scores like the PAM score, information sheets about their disease, and quizzes. And in addition, they also get different tasks and tips they can tick off. All these actions I just mentioned, for these actions, they can collect points, as you can see at the top of the screen. Also, we have more DTX in our pipeline and currently are developing one focusing on patients with respiratory diseases. In order to disrupt the healthcare, you need big muscles. So let me give you some background on our company. docdok.health is a Swiss-Israeli digital health startup led by highly experienced founders with over 15 years experience in the digital health space. Our CEO and co-founder Ulrich Mühlner previously worked for the Boston Consulting Group and Novartis, where he led the digital partnerships worldwide. And our other co-founder and chief medical officer Yves Nordmann has already founded 3 digital health startups in the past, including WellDoc in the States and Oviva in Europe. docdok.health has been internationally multi-awarded and gained massive traction. Two of the top 10 hospitals in the world, according to the Newsweek 2020, the University Hospital Zurich and the Sheba Medical Center in Israel, are main partners of us, empowered by the internationally leading digital health accelerator ARC. Do you need more than that? Let's change the future of healthcare together, using smartphones just smart. Thank you very much.
You said the product is active in 4 markets? Which markets and how many customers do you have?
No, this product is actually not yet active. We have I said that this is now like the app on prescription, like is starting now in Europe in 4 markets, and we are now starting in Germany.
Okay, and one more question. There are
Sure.
multiple solutions in the area of communication between doctors and patients and analysis of the patients and so on. What makes your solution unique compared to everything else out there?
Yeah, we are more. We're focusing more on the digital therapeutics also, and on the reimbursement issue, and less on the we also have a video and communication platform, but our focus are the DTX and the reimbursement.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's just do it here. We have 2 more questions. How do you plan to onboard medical doctors, and have current doctors found this to increase efficiency in their work, and how?
Okay. So the first question: how do we plan to onboard? So of course, once we are now right now in Germany in the process of getting into this app on prescriptions, and we're waiting for the approval. And on the other side, we are also working. Starting to work now with health insurances to make maybe also other contracts with health insurances in Germany, and of course, as I said, we have the partnership with SPIFA, the partnership with the doctors, and they with them we're going to start to onboard this in Germany. And what was again the second question?
Have current doctors found this to increase efficiency in their work, and how?
We did already a usability study with a few doctors. They said yes, and right now we are really in another study, and they're actually convinced that it will help. So yeah, hopefully, yes.
Thank you again, docdok.health. Okay, so I think it is time for all of us to take a quick break, and right after this, we'll be coming back to hear the rest of the pitches and the contestants and other interesting speakers. 20 minutes, and we're back. Hello again. Thank you all for coming back. Now it is my honor to invite our judge and speaker, Yuval Wagner, to talk to us about his journey, the establishment of the Access Israel organization, and the importance of designing technologies accessible for all.
Hi everyone. They promised me to see the slides. Simple. You can change it to the slides? Okay, let's see it from here. Oh, can't see anything here, but anyway, my name is Yuval Wagner, and my life mission is to make Israel and the world fully accessible for people with disabilities and the elderly. And you may ask why, and this is why I came for. So actually, I was born to a father, as you see, confined to a wheelchair, paralyzed from the stomach down, also a war veteran. So all my life was about being a carrier, because the world, and especially Israel, was totally not accessible. That means nothing, 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 nothing. So my mother and me and my brother, every time we went out of the house, we used to actually carry him to every place we go. And, you know, we didn't see anything strange about it, because this is the way we lived. But we, of course, as kids, saw that, you know, our father is not coming to school trips, or we don't play ball with our father, and we don't go out to movies and to the beach and to any other place. And the only good thing about it was that he never came to school to parent-teacher meetings. You don't want to know my scores at school those days. But when I was a kid, I had a dream, like Pascal, but when I was a little younger, my dream was to be an Israeli pilot. And even though they didn't believe that it would actually happen in school, it happened, I became a combat Israeli pilot, and I truly had a great time and, fulfilled my dream, and those was a great days. And this day, I look better than today, as you can see. And I loved flying, seeing the world, and especially seeing Israel. We all say Israel is the most beautiful country in the world. Sorry, China, but it is. But seeing it from the air is unique and beautiful. Unfortunately, at 1987, I had a mission, a practice mission, to do some training at the Golan Heights, and we took off from Palmachim Air Base, flew over Jerusalem, flew down to the Dead Sea, and then taking north to the Galilee Sea. And on the way, on the height of, imagine, high-rise like Azrieli building, at a speed of 200 kilometers per hour, the metals that connect the rotors and the helicopter actually broke down. And in the helicopter, they can't jump out. So we crashed in a second. I always call it the second that changes your life. So you can understand that I'm speaking here today, I was very, very lucky and fortunate to stay alive from this kind of accident. But as you can see, I immediately broke my neck and I'm paralyzed neck down, only partially moving my hands. And this is the way I looked after the accident. And this is the way the helmet looked. Not it's just the helmet is broken, but hopefully what's inside the box still working, hopefully. So I was then, after long rehabilitation, had another luck where the Air Force came to me when I was in rehabilitation and said to me, listen, we invested in you so much to be a pilot. Well, it's unfortunate that you can't come back and fly again, but maybe we can use you for something else. And they suggested me to be a computer programmer. So I said, why not? And I started learning computer programming in the Air Force, and I became a programmer. But to tell you the truth, I wasn't that great at that job. So I was good in something else. I was always entrepreneur, and I was always a good manager. So from that point, 30 years forward, I've served in the Israeli Air Force in many tasks and missions and roles. And I was discharged a few years ago as a lieutenant colonel. Parallel to that, I made my family. I studied business degree. I have 3 kids, divorced like Pascal, married again with Sari and a son, hopefully not doing it again. So I did, parallel to the work in the Army, I made my family and my academics. But as you said, as I said before, once now I was on a wheelchair and I had my kids, I started remembering about my childhood as a carrier. And I said to me, this is strange. I don't understand why my kids have to live the same way that I lived. And I started asking myself questions, why no one have taken this issue and started promoting accessibility in Israel. So I wrote a letter. In the picture you can see the president those days, Mr. Ezer Weizmann. So I wrote him a letter, by the way, a real letter in a real mail, not an email. And as Israelis, we always laugh that the mail never reaches its target. So this mail reaches. The president mail arrives to the president's house. And 2 days later, I get a telephone from the president that says that he received my mail and he wants to talk to me. And he's asking about the accident, and he's asking, what's the word negishut, accessibility, because it was never used those days in the terminology. We are the first that started using that. So then he said, listen, Yuval, and he called me Yuvke. He gave me a nickname. His wife, Reuma Weissman, that is still alive, by the way, she's a blind person today, and elderly, she always laughs about the way he gave me the Yuvke name. So she calls me Yuvke. Anyway, he said, Yuvke, I'm ordering you to fund a nonprofit organization to make Israel fully accessible for all disabilities, all kinds of disabilities, in all areas of life. Bye-bye. But before the bye, he said one more sentence. I give you 6 months to get ready, and we're going to launch it in the President's house, and this is the actual launch in 1999, 23 years ago. And since then, the mission that was defined by the president stayed the same mission, making Israel fully accessible for all disabilities in all areas of life. But think about it for a second. Is this the real target? Is this the real mission? No, because accessibility, it's not the target. The target is to enable people with disabilities that have all their barriers to enable them and to enable them to live normal life, to fulfill their potential, to do what they love to do, to go to the super, to study, to work, to trips, whatever. This is a real inclusion target. So accessibility is the method or the enabler of the real mission, which is interesting to know. Another interesting acknowledgement that I made through the years is understanding that I myself is one out of 30% or even 40% people with barriers and disabilities around the world. Now, I don't see everyone say, no, 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 it's not 30, it's not 40%. Because people with disabilities usually are, the numbers they talked about is about 15% or 80%, 18 or 20%. But in the digital area, and when we talk about digital barriers, on top of people with disabilities and the elderly, they have many more niches that have suffering from digital barriers and that are added to the statistics when we talk about accessibility of technologies. So, saying that, I want to share with you our biggest challenges, because Access Israel, through the years, especially works on awareness, legislation, and implementation, which is mainly consultants. We are very known about our unique consultancy methods and implementation methods, but I'm not going to emphasize in the small amount of time that I got today about that. But I do really want to share with you, because today we oriented the OPPO launch in Israel, and congratulations on that coming to Israel. So what we understood, that accessibility is transforming. It's transforming from changing from the physical, okay, and services to digital and technologies. That means in 5 and 10 years, we are going to live totally different than what we live now. Smart homes, smart cities, autonomous car, robotics, XR, and many, many other technologies and services that are going to be daily part of our lives. So we have to understand that this is going to be happening. It's here. It's written on the wall. So we actually have now an historic opportunity to change the way accessibility is being implemented in Israel and the world. So the mission, our mission, is very simple. And the mission is coming from here in Israel because we are initiating it, but it's international global mission. It's to make sure the future tech era, okay, is fully accessible by design. It's very important because if we continue doing things retroactively, that means it takes a lot of money to fix it, it takes a lot of time to fix it, there's social gaps, and it takes a lot of money. And another thing, the difference is that when we talk about development of technologies, they are exponentially accelerating, rather than today that it's linear. So retroactively, it's not an option. It will never succeed. So we have to succeed in this historic opportunity to make sure that every new technology, every new service based on technologies must be accessible by design. So this is our mission, and the project is called Possible. Yes, it's possible. Say it. Yes, it's possible. Say it. Yes, it's possible. We have to make it happen. We can't just sit down and look and then say, oh, remember Yuval talked about possibility and possible, and we did nothing about it? Blame yourself if you're not going to be part of it. So what we are going to do, we're going to work on laws and legislation all over the world. We are going to make a global ecosystem. We're going to make researches on understanding what the barriers on future technologies, understanding what we miss there, what they don't have yet, in order to have them accessible in 5 or 10 years. We're going to publish those reports to all the corporates, the technology companies, the academic institute, the entrepreneurs, the investors, to motivate development of new technologies needed to make the future fully accessible. And it's very important, lastly, after we know what our challenges, to actually motivate more development and more entrepreneurs to develop more technologies. So making the future tech era accessible design, leaving no one behind, is our mission possible. So thank you very much. And remember, we can make accessibility a reality. Thanks again.
Once again, it's quite hard to be here after these kind of speeches, but once again, I'm going to try. Okay, so it is time to continue with our competition. I am honored to invite Sign Now.
Thank you very much. We got it. Okay. First, I want to thank to Yuval for the great mentoring for us and for the ecosystem in the accessibility of Israel. So Yuval, thank you so much. Nice to meet you. My name is Tomer Levy. I'm the CEO and the founder of Sign Now. Sign Now is a social international startup that comes to solve the problem of 90 million deaf people who start their lives at a lower point and cannot communicate with the hearing environment. So in Israel we say one picture is 100 words, so one video is 1,000 words, so 60 seconds about us.
Would you believe if I told you that by 2022, 90 million deaf people could not get daily services like visit a doctor, conversation with a banker, or even speaking at a phone? For that, we established the Sign Now app. With the Sign Now app, every deaf person can easily upload a professional human sign language interpreter to connect between him and the service provider. At the last 2 years of major pilots, we managed accessibility for the worldwide deaf community with more than 50,000 successful calls in hospitals, banks, welfare, education, urgent services, and even in emergency, like the humanitarian aid to the Ukrainian deaf people who had to escape because of the war. We made calls in every continent at the world, and we are proud. We do not care where you come from. We do not care about politics. We just want to help 90 million deaf people around the world. We are writing history right now. Sign up.
Thank you very much. So like you see, I'm Tomer and I'm hearing, and maybe I cannot explain the need like deaf people. So for this part, I want to invite my COO, Hila Almog. She's deaf, and she's super great. Come here, Hila.
Hi, everyone. It's so much fun to be here. My name is Hila Almog. I'm the COO, and I'm deaf. I'm a teacher and a lecturer in sign language, and I'm a mother of 3 lovely children who are hearing themselves. And at home, we all communicate in both languages, sign language, Israeli Sign Language, and Hebrew. And my background is I came from a deaf family. My siblings were all deaf, and my parents, except for one brother who was hearing. And growing up, he would always be our interpreter. Whatever was happening around, he would translate for us. And I would always get help from him, even communicating with friends or neighbors. And it wasn't a pleasant situation. It was kind of an invasion of my privacy. And today, being a mother of 3 children, I don't want to let my children be my interpreters. Sometimes I don't have a choice, and I have to use them as interpreters. But I don't see a lot of improvement and accessibility in the sign language in Israel. A lot of difficulties and a lot of barriers that I see people complaining about every day. People even in harsh situations. So much frustration and disappointment. And thanks to this app, it was things are becoming very accessible. Even in stores, I can switch it on and have an interpreter. And it makes deaf people feel independent and individuals. Thank you very much for this great opportunity to be here today.
Thank you, Hila. It's a great opportunity to say thanks to Naama and Talia, the sign language interpreters here that make terrific jobs. So thank you both. And let's continue. So I can say that in 2019, we managed at the first time in the world the Eurovision Song Contest in Israel to be accessible to the deaf people in Israel. And then we understood the big need, and we decided to develop the Sign Now app that connect between deaf consumers, sign language interpreters, and service providers in a video call conversation. And then we understood that our vision is to become to the best company, communication company for the deaf community, and to connect between the deaf people to the service providers anywhere and anytime. Just to understand, this is a conversation in Gaza. We made conversations in more than 80 states in the world, and the need is huge. Wherever we went, every deaf 100% told us we need the app, and we're going to use the app. Like we said, we connect between 3 parts: the deaf consumer, the sign language interpreter, and the service provider, and also the paying client. At the end, we are a service-based technology, and we work with business models like B2B and B2G. We go to businesses and governments and tell them, hey, you have deaf people, you need to stand by law, you have social responsibility, you want to improve your branding, and also in the business part, you want to bring other customers, use the Sign Now app. We have some strategic partners in Israel and around the world. One of them is, of course, Access Israel, also Google in San Francisco, and other great partners from the businesses and governments that help us to improve our mission and to grow every day. So one thing that I wanted to show you, in 2 years of major pilots, we understood one important thing. Some people from the deaf community have a low digital orientation, and for that, maybe the most important thing is the user experience. And for that, we understand that one button, getting inside the conversation with a sign language interpreter, and then let's do everything else. And you know, another thing, all the time we say, let's think about the next big technology. No. I say sometimes we need to go to the functional innovation. While we are talking and developing, 90 million deaf people sometimes suffer. They cannot communicate with the doctor, they cannot communicate with the bank, with their friends, with family, and for that, we managed to sign now up. One thing that we are proud at, if you know about the war that was between Russia and Ukraine, meanwhile the world tried to think how is it to be a citizen in a war, and now try to think how is it to be a deaf citizen in the war. We helped to more than 25 deaf people to escape from Ukraine with the Sign Now app and to talk with the call centers immediately to get to the buses, to get to the border, to cross the border, and to get to Israel. No, it's okay. You don't have to. Thank you. And I want to show you EyeLight. EyeLight is the first hospital in Israel that's accessible to deaf people. And I have another announcement. It's not in the presentation, but yesterday we started to manage accessibility in the Israeli health ministry for all deaf people in Israel, for every doctor, anywhere and anytime, 24/7. It's a big announcement. So thank you for all the partners about it. And just to show you how much the big is need. If you're a deaf and you go to the police, how can you talk with the people there? If you are in a situation of emergency and you now need to talk with the doctor or the police, you need to call them right now. Sometimes deaf people in emergency running to their neighbors and knock on the door and say, hey, we need help, call now to the emergency. And now with the Sign Now app, the deaf people can do it by themselves. Another example is Partner, the first cellular company in Israel that's accessible for deaf people. And I can tell you that we have hundreds of calls every month, and we bring dozens of deaf customers to Partner every month. We've been at the media in Israel and around the world. We have some great results from our pilots. We have also deaf members. We have more than 55 successful calls in Israel and around the world in the Sign Now app. We have 8 B2B paying customers and more. You know what? I'm going to put it alone. I want to say one thing. At the end, we came here in a purpose to cooperate with OPPO. I can tell you, I know that OPPO is a big company, the fourth in the world in cellular, with more than 40,000 employees, with more than 40 states. And I can tell you that we believe that we can bring in one link in SDK, our solution to every deaf anywhere, and to help all the deaf people around the world. So thank you, and have a great journey.
Questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
First, I think it's amazing the impact that you're making for all of these deaf people.
Thank you so much.
I see that you have some revenue. How much did you test the willingness of either consumers, deaf people, or institutions like government that you said you have a contract to actually pay for the service? And who do you expect to pay? The consumers or the...
Great question. For many reasons, the deaf people don't pay for the service because I think first it's not the right thing in the social side. If I'm as a hearing, don't need to pay about the service, so the deaf also. Second, because of the user experience, we want to put everything aside. So one button, they get inside the conversation, they don't need to pay. And then coming the question, like you say, who is going to pay about the service? So like I said before, we're going to businesses and governments and enterprises and tell them to make their service, sorry, I'm excited. Their service accessible to the deaf community, and they pay us monthly retainer. And we have other business models, but this is the main one.
And do you work only in Israel today, or? also outside of Israel?
We work especially in Israel. I can tell you that if we had to do something, we would do it very fast, like we did it in Ukraine. We know how to get to the specific numbers in specific states, and we have interpreters from Israel and around the world that can answer to the calls. But honestly, we work especially in Israel right now.
Do deaf people have other options other than going to the neighbors? I mean, are there any other applications out there to do what you do?
We have 63 competitors in the world. I can tell you why we are the best. We hope to be the best. I think that SciNow and CheckMe is the only company in the world that say we go to the deaf people globally. There are some companies that made some translation companies that they have a niche in sign language. I think that they have no understanding about the needs of the deaf, only company in the world the user experience that it's very important to the deaf people globally. Another thing there are some companies that made together in one place is very important also for the deaf. They have a niche in sign language. We want to make also I think that SciNow about SciNow to do a lot of things. And you know, Ilah maybe can tell more than me, but the deaf community is like a very strong community, and one of the things that the deaf people want is to be together, one place, and to encourage them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Another question.
Yes.
How many customers does SciNow have, and what is the fee per call?
So we have, like I said, 8 B2B paying clients and 2 in the governmental in Israel. And we don't use yet the business model with per call, but we use the business model with monthly retainer because a lot of reasons. At the end, we want to give on-demand translation, and for that we have interpreters all the time. So if there was a call or not, we need to pay to the interpreters, also to the team. And because of that, we went to a business model of a monthly retainer. So this is the answer, I hope.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, SciNow. Now, it is EyeLight.
Hi everyone, I would like to ask you to close your eyes for a few seconds and just listen. You can open your eyes now. If I would ask you what it was all about, you would probably tell me that it was taken from a movie scene. But guys, it's actually 15 seconds that we have recorded in a random street of Tel Aviv. Can you imagine yourself navigate in this situation without seeing nothing? My name is Or, and this is Omer, and we are from EyeLight. Today, it's already 2022, and look at the amazing achievement that has been achieved so far. We have landed on the moon, cars already drive autonomously, and there are even 3D printers that create organs. And yet, these are the most common solutions for partially sighted and blind people. As a society, we are able and cars already drive autonomously, based on there are even 3D printers that create organs.
Our product consists of 3 main components.
These are the most common solutions for partially sighted and blind people.
In real time.
The second is a Bluetooth earpiece with microphone. Cars already drive autonomously, based on there are even 3D printers that create organs.
Our product consists of 3 main components.
These are the most common solutions for partially sighted and blind people.
In real time.
The second is a Bluetooth earpiece with microphone. Cars already drive autonomously.
High resolution can be reached due to our technology. Our technology is based on smart materials and a precise mechanical performance. Let's see how all of these components integrate together into one user experience. This is the user who wears our product.
Based on there are even 3D printers that create organs.
GPS guidelines
And yet,
around him. In this demonstration, you can see an outdoor environment, and immediately the blind people can touch and feel the stairs, the man down the street, and a concrete danger. Let's see how all of these components integrate together into one user experience. We are working this is the user who wears our
based on there are even
interviews, and we conducted a cognitive experiments in order to prove our concept. Meet Irene. Irene is one of the participants of our experiments. Her mission was to navigate in the room from the start points to the marked chair, and she used only our demo product. As you can see, the results were amazing. Just take a look.
So today, if we look at the market, there are about 295 million partially sighted and blind people, and this number is growing exponentially. And while we're looking at the competitors' landscape, like unless many cases in which the launch of new technology is required and you need to long learning process, EyeLight product help us to personal customization. You can do no surrounding preparation, and of course, you can do indoor and outdoor navigation. As an ambitious team with strong technological skills, we have an aim, a clear message. We want to make a global social impact in the world. We have participated in many accelerators, as you can see, Appleseed, Accelerator, Medtech, and won in many prestigious international companies, as you can see in the list above. So far, we have financially backed by IIA, JDC, National Insurance Company, and also Elbit System. In the technological side, we have done a ready working prototype, and in these days, we are developing the MVP. Currently, we are in the seed round, and we are looking for partners for joining our journey. So with our technology, help us to fulfill their reality. Thank you.
So the blind person knows what's going on based on hearing and touching the touchpad?
Yes, it's hearing and the tactility of the surface.
The combination of the sight and sound covered by the touch sense. Oh, sorry. So we covered the gap of the visual sight by combination of the hearing and the touch sense.
But the person we saw in the demo, was she using the
Totally
hearing
blind.
as well, or just the tactile touch?
We separated and gave her just the mock-up, and then it's a tactile, it's printed in advance, and we just gave her the map and tell her to do the trial, and it was amazing because without the sense, she can, without the hearing, sorry, she can navigate independently, just focus on the.
There are many competitors that focus on the vocal instructions. We want to separate it to focus only on the tactile inputs, outputs, and the cognitive experiments was tested this tactility, how much this the dynamic surface help these people.
But you still plan to have vocal?
Yeah,
Yes,
helps
yes,
as well.
It's a combination.
Of course.
And what's the resolution of the tactile touch? I mean, how much?
The resolution it's actually built from like tiny pixels of 2 millimeters. This is the sizes.
Between the centers of each pixel. So
Yes. Yeah. So it's very high resolution that can reach complex objects, illustrations, like even facial features.
How easy is it to learn to use it? Or how hard?
It's so easy because it's intuitive. You based on like an existing knowledge that everyone has. So it's very easy to short learning process.
It's actually such as using maps. You don't need to learn new language or something like that. So it's very intuitive. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Two other questions, if it's okay.
Yes, of course.
How many products have you sold so far?
We're actually in the R&D process, so we don't sell the units for so far. The MVP will be until the end of this year.
But I want to add that we have already done some LOIs both in Israel and both abroad in Taiwan and also in Germany. So many people in association are interested in the product.
And how do you scale with your current product offerings?
Pardon, can you repeat the question?
How do you scale?
Scale up for in other
Yes.
industries?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you see, EyeLight is a technological infrastructure for many industries. So we are looking for launching the product also in the medical industry, the XR industry that can be relevant, and also the defense, because one of our investors are involved in this industry.
Thank you so much,
Thank
EyeLight.
you. Bye-bye.
Please welcome Selfit.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Shachar. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Selfit. We are a digital robotic care startup focusing on aging population. Why aging? So there are roughly around 1 billion people in the world over 60 years old. It's going to be 2 billion by 2050. And 60% of them are physically inactive. Now, being physically and cognitively engaged is a critical component for both the prevention and maintenance phases before something happened, as well as for the recovery phases. 1 billion people in the world over 60 years old. However, 2 billion by 2050. Services and 60% of them are physically inactive. Therapists, human trainers, and they're not enough. Being physically and cognitively engaged is critical component for both the prevention, digital therapy solutions, which are great in general, but not really applicable for the old people. They cannot see the world over 60 years old. However, 2 billion by 2050. So we have developed this kind of unique human machines. 60% of them are physically inactive robots, human trainers, and just robots could not enough. Being physically and cognitively engaged is critical component for both the prevention, digital therapy solutions, to hospital if needed, back to home or to which are community in general, but not really applicable for the old people. They cannot see the world over 60 years old. However, 2 billion by 2050. We have developed this kind of unique human 60% of them are physically inactive robots, human trainers, and just robots could not enough. Being physically and cognitively engaged is critical component for both the prevention, digital therapy solutions if needed, which are community in general, but not really applicable for the old people. They cannot see the world over 60 years old. However, 2 billion by 2050. We have developed this kind of unique human 60% of them human physically inactive robots, human trainers, and just robots could not enough. Being physically and cognitively engaged is critical component for both the prevention, digital therapy solutions if needed, which are community in general, but not really applicable for the old people. They cannot see the world over 60 years old. However, 2 billion by 2050. We have developed this kind of unique human 60% of them human physically inactive robots, human trainers, and just robots could not enough. Being physically and cognitively engaged is critical component for both the prevention, digital therapy solutions if needed, which are community in general, but not really applicable for the old people. They cannot see the world over 60 years old. However, 2 billion by 2050. We have developed this kind of unique human 60% of them human physically inactive robots, human trainers, and just robots could not enough. Being physically and cognitively engaged is critical component for both the prevention, digital therapy solutions if needed, which are community in general, but not really applicable for the old people. They cannot see the world over 60 years old. However, 2 billion by 2050. We have developed this kind of unique human 60% of them human physically inactive robots, human trainers, and just robots could not enough. Being physically and cognitively engaged is critical component for both the prevention, digital therapy solutions if needed, which are community in general, but not really applicable for the old people. They cannot see the world over 60 years old. However, 2 billion by 2050. We have developed this kind of both in terms of engagement, outcome, a strategic partnership with an elderly care chain in Shanghai, China. So a little bit about the market. So we are focusing on few main markets which really align with the aging population market. Stroke, there are like 100 million people after stroke in the world. Parkinson, elderly falls, dementia. There are like 50 million people with dementia now. It's going to be 80 million in 8 years. So it's going to be like a huge market as well. And we feel we can really help them, at least in the early stage of the disease. In terms of development, so we have a CE mark. We're starting now sales of our product. Our main challenges, the things that we want to share and collaborate with OPPO, is really about reducing the hardware costs. I think OPPO would be able to help with that. Develop more AI cases, and of course, advance all this robotics interface, NLP, etc. Next year, we'll be with more focus on the home care product that we have a POC for that. You can see here, which is another market, but it's really, there's a huge opportunity in this market as well. This is our core team. We have many years in tech, developing products from scratch to sales. We also have great advisors. They really support us, coming from aging, neuroimaging, and AI. This is us. Thank you.
Any questions here? Okay, so a question from that was sent remotely. How do you guarantee the user's safety while using at home without supervision?
So we have like 100 exercises today. Part of them could be more safe. You can do exercise by just sitting, by standing, by walking. It really depends. And the therapist is the one to assign you the exercise. So basically, yeah, you need to do things. You might be able, you need to be safe as well. So we try to, you know, narrow it, your margins as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next contestant, RightHear, please come aboard. Or should I say RightHear right now? Yeah? Okay. Sorry for this.
Okay, so hello everyone. We will start by a short video, 60-second video, maybe less. Great. No, not playing. Sorry for that. Well, don't think it's playing the video, but if not, we will continue without. Okay, seems like it's not working, but I will try to bring you the experience without the video. So hello everyone, my name is Gilel Grabli and I'm the co-founder and CTO of RightHear. 5 years ago, me and Idan, my CEO and co-founder, asked ourselves, what if science could speak? Think about how much we rely on science. By the way you walk, you came over here, you had to find where to park your car, you had to find the entrance, you have to find the entrance to this hall, you have to find your chair. So we are basically very much reliable on science. And what if science could speak, right? How useful would it be for blind people, for people with cognitive problems like dyslexia, for mental problem, agoraphobia, claustrophobia, even different languages speakers. So since then, 5 years later, RightHear reached fully bootstrapped into more than 2,000 locations and more than almost 400,000 ARR. Working with amazing brands like McDonald's, Pizza Hut, and Microsoft. The one metrics that we measure ourselves, that we focus on, is the location growth rate. We are 10x more location than the rest of the market. And this is what we are focused on, more and more physical spaces accessible for blind and other disabilities. I would like to share with you a story about Adi. Adi is a very good friend of mine. He's a software developer. He's been developing apps since he was 16 years old. And when we asked Adi what is the most challenging thing you have to deal with your daily life, and it's I always need help to get somewhere. I need someone to take me to the cafeteria, to the restroom, to the entrance, wherever, to the office. And this is such surprising that such a talented guy like Adi still needs someone to be relied on. So we started to dig into this world, and we discovered two amazing facts that I want to share with you. First of all, there are more than 100 million braille signage only in the US itself, from small restaurants into big airports and campuses. And the second fact is only 1 out of 10 blind person can read braille, okay? And even if this one person knows how to read braille, he doesn't always know where to find it. He doesn't want to touch it sometimes, and the information is very, very limited. So all in all, it's not that effective, and it's not bringing the independence that we are looking for. I would like to share a little bit about the value offering that we have for our customers, which is enterprise. So first of all, it's we strengthen their compliance with the regulations, we enhance their brand image, boost, of course, their customers' experience, and bring more traffic into their stores, their venues, and we also, in some use cases, help them save a lot of money, and I would like to elaborate it maybe later. Our market is huge, huge. Every physical space that you see outside, this is a $20 billion market size yearly. Our business model is very simple. It's SaaS. We are starting from $19 a month to make a small venue like a McDonald's store accessible with RightHear, and it's grow bigger, of course, as the venue, the size is bigger. We have more and more competitors inside in the world joining into this to this scope. Our main advantage at RightHear, first of all, that we reach much more locations so far, and our uncompetitive advantage is that we do it much, much faster. For example, it takes us less than 5 minutes to make a McDonald's store accessible with RightHear. And this is our great, amazing team. Idan Meir, I've mentioned him, the co-founder, CEO. We have an amazing team over here. We have also Nicole in the crowd. Advisory board, Adi Kushner, I've mentioned him, is our assistive technology specialist. And we have Yankee and Jonathan, two serial entrepreneurs. And yeah, this is it. Thank you very much.
How does the business model works? I mean, do you charge money for every McDonald's store, for example? How does it work?
So basically, easy as that. Of course, for the user, it's 100% free, always wise, always will. And as I described, the venue owner actually pays us, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, whoever there is, for making their stores accessible. There is a monthly fee for the subscription, the software, the mapping that we do. This is it, very special, very simple.
Why isn't it a one-time thing and not? Why is it a monthly subscription?
Because
do you change things all the time, or?
No, we don't, but we do give them the option to change. It's like a system, it's a software system. They have all the mapping data inside already. If something changed, they can change it in the system. A lot of places, for example, the zoo, they add more information. If you go into the lion cave and you want to hear more information, if this is a campus, you can change the agenda of the room for today. So it's a very dynamic system, editable 24/7 from all over the world.
And how does the competition look like? I mean, you mentioned some competitors, but like I saw that you're in Aroma. So like if you go to our cafe today, I'll find someone else that is doing our cafe, or?
Yeah, so basically we are eager to add more and more brands and customers. We call them actually partners because they are really strengthening the ecosystem for bringing more and more partners like other coffee houses. They currently don't possess, as far as we know, any alternative. So it's more about awareness, I think, that it's helping us increase more and more as more brands are entering this field and partner with us.
So when you walked into McDonald's or Aroma, you did not face any competition whatsoever? You needed to convince them that they need it, but there is no competition.
No, there is a competition. Here in Israel, it was actually quite easy because there are not a lot of competition here in Israel, to be honest. Mostly in the US market where we are aiming to, there are other competitors already. Some people doing with a live person, an app called Ira, a live person, and you kind of rent physical eyes of someone from the other side. We don't think it's fully independent to be reliable. It's still being reliable, but just under the digital, and we want to do it fully 100% reliable. So this is, for example, one difference between a competitor in this market.
Last question for me. You went bootstrap so far. Why did you decide to raise money now?
Great. So our next milestone is, first of all, getting more traction in the US, which is, we need to have a lot of more gasoline going there, both for marketing and sales. But not only, our product is now changing, and we are actually developing our next generation, which is going to be much more precise. We are going to do, I've mentioned earlier that we are doing less than 5 minutes. Actually, it's 4 minutes, 33 seconds for a McDonald's store to be accessible. We are aiming with the new technology to cut it into at least half, which means it's going to be much faster, and as more, there will be faster places and more places to that are accessible. This is how we will win the game.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right here.
Sure, thank you. Any question or not? No.
I'm more than happy to invite our last contestant for today, 6 Degrees.
Hi, everyone. Can you bring it up? Can you bring it? Oh, more. Hi, everyone. Thanks for staying here this long. I appreciate you having me. So my name is Miri Berger, and I'm the CEO of 6 Degrees and the co-founder. Actually, our origin story began when I met my co-founder, who's now my husband, at 19, around a month after he sustained an injury in the Army. He sustained a nerve injury and quickly went from operation to rehabilitation. And we both found that he and others around him had to deal with first the physical injury, and then the second injury was the loss of independence, the reliance on other people to do day-to-day things. So more than a decade later, we decided to take it upon ourselves to make people more independent. And the way that we do that is with a user experience that's motion-based and individual to each user. We are a team, that's me, my husband is the CTO of the company. We are a team of very dedicated entrepreneurs, business experts in sales, in data, in tech, and repeat entrepreneurs as well, that are all very, very strapped into getting this user experience into everyone who needs it. Our mission is to learn about individual emotion and enable each one of you in this room, but everyone around the world, to basically use their existing motion, their independent motion, into controlling smart devices, kind of bridging between the physical and the digital world. The way that we do that in the first vertical that we chose to tackle was people that lost their independence because they lost the use of their hands. The 300 million people around the world, or the 4.3% of the population, that can't use their hands because of injury, paralysis, stroke. It could be a momentary injury like you broke your hand, or it could be a lifetime condition that either gets worse or stays stable. But basically what they gained together with this loss of independence is the loss of communication, getting away from employment and getting away from education. And we wanted to bridge that. So we actually created an algorithm that learns about your motion within a 5-minute process and onboarding. We ask you to choose 2 to 3 motions that will be a command. So it'll be a right click on a computer, or a tap on a phone, or the X button, let's say on a gaming device. The same motion, you don't have to redefine it, you define it once. It'll be all of those things on all of those devices. After that 5-minute onboarding, you can now turn on the Bluetooth, connect to your device, your chosen device, and control it using your motion. And this smart algorithm is a translator. So if you have tremor, the motion on the screen on the other side is smooth. If you have limited motion or limited range, you'll gain full use of the device on the other side, and so on. So it basically learns about you not only in that initial onboarding, but it keeps learning incrementally the more you use it. And we actually, so this device is called MyMove. We've begun sales this April. We have begun sales in the US, Brazil, and Australia in order to get this device into assistive technology libraries, universities, and corporates. Our second kind of stream that we're taking this to validation, we wanted to give people more independence past control. We also actually wanted to give them independence or feedback on how they're doing in rehabilitation. If any of you have gone through the rehab process, you know that you rely on subjectively, feeling if you've advanced, but also on the feedback, also subjective feedback of your physical therapist or occupational therapist. And so we partnered up with Shiba through this control option to let people on one hand, do the rehabilitation through gaming using our device, and on the second hand, kind of gauge where they are from where they started, since it takes the baseline, to where they've ended in the treatment after 10 sessions. So we chose Shiba as a partner. They chose reduction of phantom pain limb for people that lost their lower limb due to an amputation. And what we've seen is basically, I'll describe the study. You put on the two devices in this case, one on each limb, one a whole limb, one an amputated limb. And once you put on the VR gear, you look down, you see two full legs in a soccer game. When you move your limb, whichever one it is, you see a full leg moving in the game. You kick a virtual ball, you feel it happening through tremor, you see it, you hear it. But since you started with your baseline, you can now gauge how much you've advanced, how much your range, your ability, your accuracy. Did you favor one side over another during the treatment? What you see, basically your progress. We're in the middle of this pilot, but so far, people have reported significant reduction in phantom limb pain, meaning they come in with 5 and above out of a scale of 10. They leave with 3 to 0. It stays that way between 48 hours to 10 weeks, which is the length of the study. But even a substantial reduction 6 months following for the people that have gained a follow-up. So we basically see this not only as a controller, but also as a feedback loop, a behavioral change system that we can apply. Now, these two verticals we've decided to take all the way through in order to show feasibility, but we know that, and we've started sales in one, the second one is in proof right now with medical backing. But basically, we know that we can partner up with OEMs, let's say prosthetics manufacturers, the car industry for media interaction and so on, in order to show use cases moving forward. And then finally, we want to create an SDK to let everyone in the metaverse, everyone connecting the physical and digital world, to basically connect their wearable device using this algorithm to the digital world hands-free or fully engaged. So to summarize, we're 6 Degrees. We hope to bring impact not only on an independent level, on a personal level, but also on an economic one, not only to the user, but their surrounding. And we look forward to partnering with you, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you for listening.
In the MyMove product?
Yeah.
Is it hand only, or any limb, or can I use my eyes to make a move?
So that's a great question. In the onboarding process, you see a video, you choose to either put it on your wrist where the watch is, on your upper arm, or on your leg. We do need a moving limb to learn about your motion ability. But it doesn't have to touch your skin. It can sit on a prosthetic, on clothing. It looks solely on motion. The origin of the name is from 6 Degrees of Freedom, looking at motion in space.
But it's not like eyes or things like that, no?
No, so the fact that we don't have an outside tracking. It's just this object. It learns, the algorithm inside kind of calibrates the information and sends out a translation, which is why we don't need to install anything on the other side, which lets us move from computer to tablet to gaming device without an app. Just turn on your Bluetooth and go.
What's the cost of the device?
So the MSRP is $990. That's what our market is paying right now. The libraries, the assistive technology centers. But we are going towards places that will basically finance the device for the end user. So the assistive technology libraries in the US have full financing for devices like this from the federal level. The universities buy them and give them out to students for the duration of study, and corporates as well. It used to be you could only use the device like this at your workplace, but now your workplace sometimes is home. So people are taking this, and corporates are kind of looking at this not only as a way to advance in the corporate setting, but also give people or their employees the ability to play with PlayStation, Xbox at home, enrich their at-home life, not only at work.
And you said that My Move is already selling. How much is it selling?
Yeah, we actually just started sales in April. We got to 51 devices, and that was the outreach kind of method plus the selling. We've already shipped them out. We've already onboarded a few states, and we keep going.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can do it right now, but we still have another question.
Thank you, guys.
For the first product, My Move, is there a learning time for each user when the product is first introduced?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as I stated, there's a 5-minute. Oh yeah, but to the person online, there's a 5-minute onboarding process where the device asks you for your choices and learns about you, your range, your ability, your speed, your voluntary and involuntary motion. We don't ask you anything but a username and a password, and where you put the device. But then from that point on, the device is the learning apparatus, meaning you don't have to learn how to use it. Once you finish the onboarding, you know how to do it through playing a game, and then it learns about you for the rest of duration of use.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can do another round of applause for all the startups that were presented today. Yeah. So we've all heard from these startups how they are creating new and useful technical solutions to make the lives of people better. Yet their social value can only be achieved after startups themselves survive and thrive in this challenging world of high tech. Therefore, in the next panel, we will talk about how the ecosystem can better be empowered and where investment impact comes in place. So, I'm honored to invite to the stage with me Or Retzkin, co-founder and CEO at iControl, Vanessa Kaczerginski, Chief Executive Officer at the Israeli Forum for Impact Economy, and Niv Schwartz, Business Development Manager at Orcam. Well, hello. Thank you for joining us here today. Thank you for being with us. Let's jump right in, okay? What does tech for good mean for you? I know it's a big question, but let's do it. Or.
I think it's a great question, and I think it's always interesting to see what's considered, because a lot of technologies can do good. Without mentioning names, you can think about transportation tools that assist us to get here. They do good, navigating us as well. They prevent traffic. Is it tech for good? I think, and again, it's my feeling. First, when you hear what's tech for good, it's like when I will ask you, what's a good thing to do, or you know it, like you know the difference between what's good or not. This is one way. But I also think it's either technology that is done for populations that it will bring them into equality and no one else will do it, or it's technologies that at the end of the day they are here and they are done in order to put efforts and energy and resources in things that are not related to your specific benefit, but like, for example, the global benefit or things that will be, those are the types of, I think, as tech for good would be.
Vanessa, you want to give it a shot?
Yes, so following up on what you said,
I think that we need to look at it from three perspectives. First of all, we need to have intentionality, meaning that the person that has a tech solution for a challenge has the intention to create this solution. Secondly, we need to have, following on the intentionality, a good impact strategy. And there are many methodologies to write the theory of change of the product, and so having a strong strategy for the impact component. And the third and last but not least is a strong, solid business plan. And these three components, or basically the double bottom line, creates a solid impact tech or tech for good enterprise.
Niv?
So I think that what's unique about this period of time is that the entire world is shifting towards more value and accessibility and more awareness. So I think that if I would just summarize it, I think it's just finding the right balance between financial revenues and also doing much more good with technology.
But where do you draw the line?
Well, it's a good question.
I think it's the biggest question of this conversation, but I said, why not?
True, yeah. So drawing the line. So of course, I think that us as individuals, of course, everyone has some kind of, a supreme goal that he wants to, to change and make impact on this planet. Because I think that's something that we grew up upon, that, you come here for a reason. So, of course, if I take some challenge or a problem and I see like what can be done better in the world and use technology to solve it, so of course I can try always to find, the biggest market. But sometimes I think that it's such kind of a stronger urge that is saying like, I will change that and the revenues will only come after. So it's impact first and finance after.
But sometimes I think you find yourself in a situation where you need to choose. Should I make more money, or should my impact be better, more effective? How do you choose?
I think it's a good question.
I know.
I think it's even more relevant even to the panelists here. Like all of our, like we are familiar with technologies. Almost in every company, you can create technology that could be maybe making more revenues if you'll take the same technology into another segment. We have the same also at Eye Control. We have our original product was developed for ALS patients, together with ALS patients, for enabling communication with eye movements. We are using the same technology at hospitals today in ICU settings, where the market is bigger and has I think one of the beautiful things actually at assistive technology, even from a business perspective, is the capability to get the work and the combination together. You can have the benefit of working and doing good at the home care activity, getting feedback that you wouldn't get in any beta site in every hospital in the world, with people and families working with you and improving the technology while promoting the other market and moving it forward. So every company, I think, will face in this condition, in this, I don't know if every company, but there's a chance a company will face this dilemma. And I think it can be navigated in a way that will benefit both segments at the end of the day.
I have two things I would like to say in this regard. First thing is to quote, let's say, the father of impact, Sir Ronald Cohen, that defines, right, an impact tech, and he loves to use the Orcam example. An impact unicorn is an impact that impacts 1 billion people and is worth $1 billion. So, and it's not about the core segment, okay? The same way that Orcam operated and other assistive tech operated, is that the initial target market was an assistive technology, but then they pivoted for the mainstream audience. We have many other companies that managed to do so. So this is one issue. The second point is that you basically have a spectrum. When you talk about impact, it's not just the one strategy or the one definition. You have startups that are impact first. You have startups that are impact and finance, or finance first. In the same way, you have investors or different blended models, financing models, options. And I'm sorry that Merav Galili wasn't able to join us because she could elaborate on that. where you have blended finance option to support different stages or different efforts of different tech for good endeavors. So just oversimplifying it and saying it's impact first, or you come into a crossroad, you need to pick one road. I think it's a journey, and it has many stops on the way, and it has many options of funding and of strategy, and we need to keep an open mind and talk to experts and have a solid strategy, both on impact and business.
Neve, I can see you nodding for a lot of the time. Is it because you have something to add, or just you concur with everything?
Well, I just think that no, it's like what you said is like music to my ears, because I really feel that it's a process that we're really witnessing in OrCam. It also comes from the market, and that in the end of the day, you know, we hear and we always try to question, like, okay, I'm buying from this brand, okay, they give me value, but what else? What's beyond the the functionality that I receive? And I think it's a beautiful era.
Okay, so let's get a little bit personal, if it's okay. How did you get to this area of impact?
Okay, so
another big question that you
right.
can have an hour about it. I
for sure, but I try to condense it into seconds. So I'm doing business for the past 13 years, and I'm recently, I would say, joined OrCam less than a year ago. And I remember since, starting having my own business and established, I'm an entrepreneur ×5, some tech, also services, and some of the companies are still running. And I realized that, okay, I have earnings. I take my money as a shareholder, and I do good for the environment or society or animal welfare, etc. But it's like it was always so separated. And when I started communicating with OrCam, they asked for my advice about emerging markets in Asia. And then I said, that's a good opportunity to combine. Why, it's two birds with one stone. And I'm very happy about what's happening here.
Vanessa?
So first of all, I would like to say what is it that we do and who am I actually. So I'm the CEO of the Israeli Forum for Impact Economy. This is an NGO that is an infrastructure organization. It's part of a global entity called the GSG, where we have more than 40 countries that we interact with, chaired by Sir Ronald Cohen. And what we're trying to do is build the impact economy in Israel, meaning push for an economy that is sustainable from the one hand, and is taking an active role in solving global environmental and social challenges via increasing supply of capital, increasing demand for capital, so tech for good enterprises, and increasing policy to incentivize these different segments. My personal journey to become a part of this amazing organization is that I actually come from the NGO world. When after 7.5 years in a specific NGO, and after having my first kid, I feel it's always a life-changing event. I started to think of a career change. The real question is, am I leaving my child for a good enough reason in the work that I do today?
I think it's a good question for all of us, all the time.
I know. This is why I like to remind this, because it's kind of a aha moment for a lot of people. And then I decided that I could do better. And all of my 8-200 friends, I was in a 8-200 unit, said enough with the bullshit NGO world and the hunger salaries. Come work with us in the cyber industry. And I was like, is it really doing good or doing well? Can't we do both? And this is how I come to learn about impact investing, impact economy, had the amazing opportunity to be part of this entity and to shape it and build it. And there is a way to do good and to do well, especially in Israel, in the startup nation, and it's time to pivot from being the startup nation to become the impact nation.
Or?
In my case, I have my grandmother passed away from ALS. I'm from background in physics and finance. I'm not related really to. I was getting to volunteer at the NGO together with Shai Rishoni, who was the CEO of the NGO, an ALS patient himself, and Itai, and our CTO. So it started from a very personal meeting once a day, every week, getting like really the idea behind eye control. One of the beautiful things that happened, which is I think one of the interesting ideas about how can you do also impact by taking the technology and expanding the company in value. Once we started a company, we gave some shares to the NGO. That's still today it's their biggest asset of the NGO. Like it's a meaningful piece of for the NGO. As the company is growing, even if we do other technologies, other segments, at the end of the day, it will go back hopefully to the NGO and to the research for ALS. One of the things, by the way, so I know Merav, she wasn't able to come here, but they are one of our investors. Absolutely, and they are not here, so it's really a pleasure working with them. And you could also feel it by she's calling me, she's telling me she's not able to make it. I should represent them. I don't think every investor would do the same. One of the things she told me at the beginning was that even without meeting almost the team, the idea of having kind of inherited impact model in a company by having NGO with small shares involved was really making for them a lot of, in this deal, making the decision, investing in the company a few years ago. So
thank you for sharing this. What kind of support an impact startup can expect from socially responsible corporations like OPPO? You can start.
Okay, so I think that the most important thing is to have more events like this, because I think that in this amazing opportunity you can connect, governments and investors, startups, NGOs, all under one roof, and also we're promoting an agenda. So I think that this is, just my side note regarding how we can, take maybe partnership one step forward. I think that OPPO can assist us in many ways, especially in maybe future of something that we can explore, maybe integrating technologies together, and I would say also reaching out for new markets.
Vanessa?
I think that in 2015, when the world was introduced to the SDGs, there was a big jump of corporates saying, we're going to save the world. We have a responsibility. The governments are not doing good enough. The philanthropy is not adding. We need to save the world. And I think that post-COVID, there is sort of the realization that it shouldn't be either or. It should be a cooperation, a collaboration of the three sectors. This is the basic idea of the impact economy, how the third, the private, and the public sector are working together to create solutions. And here, in your example, you show how an NGO and a tech company work together. And I think that this is what corporation and corporates like OPPO could do, could incentivize these cross-sectorial collaboration and provide support, obviously funding, but it's too obvious to say, but also the connections, the network, the influence that they have in different areas and different levels. And I think that it's very important to bear in mind and to keep in mind the importance of NGOs and the way that they know to identify the problems and the challenges. Oftentimes we have entrepreneurs or even big corporates that jump to the solutions, and it's disconnected from the real need. And this is where the NGOs play a very important role, and it's not being used enough. So I think that this is where corporates could take a very important leading role.
I agree. I'll just say that one of the problems but lack of funding is an issue still in the field of assistive technology. Seeing logos and events that are being done and being spoken by large corporates, putting more funding into it, making those types of competitions like we had before, are the key also to
the competition is still on. We still don't know who are the winners. Maybe you know, but don't tell anyone.
I don't know. So I think it's all of those small events are really the way to create an ecosystem, a strong and solid ecosystem.
Do you find that as a company you are taking less viable than, say, just from the top of my head, cybersecurity? Or fintech, maybe?
With this question.
The truth is, yes. Like it's harder to do fundraising, or it's harder to do rather than at the end of the day, fundraising is never easy. Even for the cyber security, not for all companies, it is an easy process.
Especially now.
Especially now. So I would just say that in the cases of companies like us, especially if we are related also to hardware, and you put a lot of layers of, let's say, challenges. However, if you are able to do it, and if you have the right people to engage with you in this journey, I think you cannot compare, at the end of the day, the feeling, seeing the impact that you could do. It's not only by that, it's things that you could really see and feel, that at the end of the day will attract talent that you cannot compare, the passion, the dedication for the team to the company. It's not like any, this is something I believe and I know from the communications with friends, team members. At the end of the day, most of the team, if not all the team, doesn't feel they go to work every day. So it's harder maybe on this area of fundraising. But again, I think we are getting better and better. We started a company a few years ago. I want to say that now for people that are starting companies now, they have more brands to compare, like Orcam, like unicorns, like companies that are already there and can do and demonstrate that it's feasible. It can really create a business. Hopefully it will be said on our company and other companies that like also presented here today. So I think it's getting into a better place, and also from the perspective of people that really want to have meaningful and impact, it will only shift to this place.
I can see what you say, because it's probably in every area, every field of expertise, not only in high tech, when you feel that you have meaning and that it's a cliche, when you impact. The feeling when you go to work or when you do your job, it's different. So how do you convince people to go to this area, Vanessa?
I have 3 statistics I want to
Okay.
quote. First of all, we've conducted a research together with Liberal magazine, which we shared recently in a conference we had, on the new demands of the Gen Zs, the Zoomers they're called, on employment, investment, and consumers. And it shows that they're not only preferring impact, but they're willing to pay more. They're willing to be paid less and to have more meaning in their work. They're willing.
So we do have a future.
We do, definitely, that's the good news. The second statistics is last year, Startup Nation Central shared their data from their SDG finder, where out of the roughly 7,000 startups in Israel, around 20% are SDG aligned, with or without their knowledge. So we can see that we're getting there. We have more and more options and solutions that are aligned to impact. And the third statistic is that we have 25,000 new millionaires in Israel out of the tech industry. And we see more and more, I mean, they come to us at the Israeli Forum for Impact Economy, that following their exit or equity or IPO, whatever, they want to do impact. They want to do good, right? They've done their money in the whatever, cyber or gaming, and now they want to turn their funding or tech knowledge into good. And I think these combinations create a momentum where you have both supply and demand.
But still, how can you convince people to not go and make the money in cybersecurity or what else? Go and make the money in impact.
So again, I don't think you need to persuade them. I think that young people want to have meaning in their daily job. This is why you have this new position in corporate as a brand employer, right? Employer branding, right? How do you brand yourself to be more attractive for Gen Zs? A lot of them use sustainability and social activities to attract the younger generation, and this is what they're looking for. A lot of it is impact wash, right? A lot of it is not real, and you can smell it today with the era of transparency. You can really feel who's impact and who's for real and who's not, and who's trying together. So I think that, again, this is the new demand. The Gen Zs are setting the trend. And we can see today in the whole crisis in employment that people didn't rush to whatever work they were offered, right? And the incentives, the big parties, the big hoo-ha wasn't attractive to them. They are looking for meaning.
Not only 24 types of ice cream.
Yeah, exactly.
Not only.
Exactly.
Niv, do you wanna comment on this, or we can
say no more?
Okay. We don't have a lot more
Sorry,
time.
I'm
No, it's us. It just says that he's concurring, I think. Any tips that you have for young people who are wanting to do good and to make money on the way and in the tech industries?
Well, so I think that, of course, it can be an entire semester, but I think that I can share. I just finished in doing my MBA in the Hebrew U, and we had, for the first time in the history of the Hebrew University, we had impact investment course. So we kind of went through, what are the challenges. And I think that what I saw, because I worked with many startups, also in impact, and I think that is my best tip, if I can say just in one sentence, if your actions and your heart are aligned, I'm sure you will do it. Because in the end of the day, I saw startups with, I would say, quite mediocre business plan, but eventually, kept on striving for the goal and really make an impact. And I think that everything will just align with it.
Vanessa, do you concur? Is it mutual?
It's definitely mutual. I think don't put the business strategy in place of the impact strategy, and don't put the impact strategy in place of the business strategy. Both should be excellent.
And then one tip?
This is the tip.
Okay. Or?
I agree again. I think at the end of the day, the core thing, it's a core, I think, like people at the core want to do something good, most of the people. And I think you really have a huge leverage already being in this space. I also want to say that you have to have a strong business model and you have to build strong technology. Everything is already there. But I do think that the impact layer of the company can get good people to want to help you, and you should take advantage of it in a good way.
Or, Vanessa and Niv, thank you so much. It was a great time for me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
In a couple of minutes, we'll give you the results of the competition. But first, allow me to call here Jan Ren, Director of Open Innovation, Israel and Europe at OPPO, to share what OPPO is doing here in Israel.
Hi, Tzahoraim Tovim, Ani Yen Yen, Ani Miseng, as you can see. אני עובדת ב-OPPO, אני לומדת עברית by Wupan Gordon. So my Hebrew is still very limited. So I want to do this quick talk in Chinese, not in Chinese, but in English. So my name is Yan. I really thank Omer and the panelists. Social entrepreneurship is something close to my heart. Myself actually work as a pro bono consultant for a few social entrepreneurs before in Hong Kong and Beijing. So I moved to Israel like 2 years ago to start the office here for OPPO. And before that, I have over 12 years experience in Asia Pacific tech sector. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of who is OPPO and what are we trying to achieve here in Israel. So do I have a click? Still me? Is there a presentation? There should be a presentation. Yeah, apparently there should be a presentation. So Yeah. So who is OPPO? OPPO is one of the largest smartphone companies globally. We have around 11% market share with over 500 million users. And what I want to emphasize here is we are not only very sizable, but we are also one of the top growing company among the top 5 smartphone vendor. So in addition to smartphone, as you can see on the picture here, we also developed a robust portfolio of IoT devices as well as software and content on top of the hardware. Currently, we have over 40,000 employees operating in more than 60 countries. And we are very strong in Asia. In countries like China, India, we are the top 3. Well, the growth region for us is Europe. As you can see the picture here, actually, if you are in Paris in beginning of June, you can see our logo in French Open. We become an official sponsor of Wimbledon and French Open since 2019. And we have been working with FC Barcelona for since 2015. And on the right side, you can see this is a Lamborghini and OPPO joint designed high-end device. So if you need a phone to match your Lamborghini, this is a device you should buy. With the high growth in Europe, we also invested in a design center in UK so that we can better tailor to the European customer needs. So we also invest strongly in R&D. So with the R&D investment, actually, according to WIPO, the World IP Organization, OPPO is among the top companies in terms of IP applicants and grants. Actually, we have over 77,000 IP in the WIPO system. And we are very proud to be the youngest company among the top 10. It's not just smartphone vendors, but all the global company out there, all the tech companies. So we are young, we are still growing, and we look forward to work with every one of you in the audience. And the next question we would ask is what we want to achieve in Israel. Actually, even before we set up the office here, we already have investment and partnership in the country. However, the companies, we want the long-term presence in Israel as one of the most innovative space in the world, as we call Silicon Valley, right? So that's why we also want you, everyone in the audience, no matter you are a startup, a hospital, or health organization, if you want to find OPPO, you can always find someone in the country who speak your language. I don't yet, but we have colleagues, Israelis speak perfect Hebrew, you can talk with. And we are in near Sorona area. We work in Pansera, a co-working space. We are expanding the office right now, looking for new space, but still you can always find us nearing the Sorona area. So we are here to scout for innovative technology and drive partnership. And we are also here to build long-term presence for OPPO in Israel. And is it an easy job? I guess we have many experts in the audience who specialize in startup and corporate partnership. And working in the space for a few years, when people ask me, what's your view on corporate startup innovation? I would always say I am a realistic optimist. Why? Because realistic speaking, there are so many challenges. Day in and day out, I experience all sorts of challenges in terms of different way of working, different culture, different speeds, different tolerance of risk. Actually, I was just talking with my colleague the other day. People will interpret silence in a different way because Israelis will take yes, silence as a yes, while Chinese, silence is no. So there was always some interesting misunderstanding happening where our team need to step in and solve the problem. So I'm also optimistic, even despite of all the challenges. So why am I optimistic? Because I see the huge potential of win-win relationship with our global resources, with our R&D, sales and marketing ecosystem, our ability to really empower and augment the Israeli innovation, bring it to the Asia consumers as well as our 500 million consumers globally. I'm also optimistic because OPPO, although we are a global company, but we're still very young. We are 18 years old. Maybe it's not young in Israeli standard, but we are young in terms of large company. So OPPO is still a young entrepreneurial corporate. we are more open to collaborate with the people in the ecosystem. I'm also optimistic because of our team. In the past few years, although it's COVID, it's difficult to build a team here, but still we managed to build a very solid team here with Israelis and Chinese working together. In our team, we have very diverse background of startup R&D, of corporate development, corporate investment, as well as the commercialization of technology. And we also have deep insight into the Israeli ecosystem from our Israeli colleagues, as well as Asia-Pacific ecosystem from our background in Asia. We also have unique expertise in dealing with the cultural difference between Israel and Asia. Not just me, my colleagues actually, before they joined OPPO, they work also with Asia-Pacific. So with the strong team and the strategic intention and patience from the corporate, I'm sure we are able to build more and more success with every one of you in the future. And I warmly invite everyone to talk with me and my colleagues. I think we can grab a few drinks afterwards. I will make my talk really short so that I don't stand between you and the drinks. And to conclude, I would like to actually use a new sign language I just learned. Okay, I put away the mic. I just learned the sign language. I'm going to show it to you. So, thank you. So it's make technology more accessible. Let's work together. Okay, see if I do it right. We have many experts in the audience, so. Am I doing it right? Yeah, so I think that's the main goal of today, not to talk about OPPO, not to talk about the stuff. Like, more importantly, let's work together to make the technology more accessible for everyone, make the consumers living a better life with the technology of today. Thank you. I hope this will be the key takeaway for you. Thank you.
Jan, we will be more than honored if you can join us to announce the winners.
I would like to invite Yoram to announce the winners. Is Yoram still here? Oh, okay, yeah.
Is it okay? Yeah. Great. Okay, so here they are, a group of 4 winners. The winners of OPPO Innovation Challenge Regional Phase are, the first one, 6 Degrees. Yes, yes. You can stay with us. The second winner. You can feel the tension. Sign now. The third one. SocialMind. All of you were great, and all of you are doing wonderful things. But we have one last winner. I would like to invite him or her to the stage right now, because it's right here. Another round of applause, please. The winners of OPPO's Innovation Channel Regional Phase. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for competing here today. You are all inspiring. Good luck to all the winners in the Global Challenge in August. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, sadly, this marks the end of this wonderful event. I want to thank our amazing speakers, the judges, our great panelists, the finalists, and you, the teams, partners, Hello Tomorrow, Zero Projects, Access Israel, and our agency ISEBZ. All of you supported us from China and Israel at OPPO. Thank you. And all of you, again. You are all invited to join for cocktails and have a wonderful evening. Drive safely. Thank you. And before we say goodbye, all the startups that was joining here today and was competing today, we have a little photo that we want to take. Thank you again. Good night.
este siglo, la luz de los valles, que mueran esos ríos, es el final del sauce, es el final del sauce, es el final del sauce, es el final del sauce. Agüita sagrada, prisionera del diablo, te quiero ver corriendo por el cerro bajando, germinando semillas, floreciendo esperanza en manos de la vida, no del que la amenaza, no del que la amenaza, no del que la amenaza.
you.